Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am fine. Just a second. So, I have a real good class, Mark McGuire, today. Hey, David. Yeah, that was a big play yesterday. And I'm trying to explain psychology when I make the picks. It was a very easy pick, right? They were down 3-2. If they lose, the series is over. They're at home. OKC can lose, and now they got game 7 at home. So they're not playing as strong as Denver is. And Denver's got some good players. So that's the ones that I really love is the home team, the underdog, and a must-win game. That's why sometimes it gets hard is when like Boston and the Knicks, well, we'll talk about that today, but when the when the when the worst team has to win is when I don't like because then it gets, but they're not better. I like here where Denver, uh, that's why we bet OKC in game 5. They had to win. And now here, Denver had to win. Now it's a coin flip. It's game 7. The have to win goes out the window because they both have to win and neither can relax. I also hit my lock in baseball. Texas under 7 when we had DeGrom going against the ace on the other team, which I'll get to when I get to baseball. And it was under 7, and the game ended 2-1. And that was my 4-unit lock yesterday in baseball. So finally, the 2 aces went and played a 1 game. A lot of times you get it, and they give up 5 runs in the first inning, and you're like, but I also had Max Fried and Ric Flair going the other day, New York, Seattle, which also went under. So I think some of these pitchers with the low ERAs, like Skubal, is not really a good pitcher. He might have some good outings, but I think it's like the Lions. When they play a good team, they don't show up. So they're good against the shit teams, and then the good teams, the Phillies, the Baltimores, the Kansas Cities, they're not going to show up. The other game that I had that I hit well was Oakland over 10 against the Yankees, and I think that was like a 20-run game again. Oakland hits. They hit. No, it was against the Dodgers. They hit and they hit, and the Dodgers, I think, put up 7. I think it was like 17-2. So they also can't pitch. So they're a good over team. See, now we get to the meat of here we are in May, and now we see who can hit and who can't, who can pitch and who can't. And that makes it now we can see our over teams and our under teams. Anyway, yeah, Denver won. That was a big play, and we'll look at that. You see, and I heard it on the radio. The Detroit idiots were talking about the Lions schedule, but we can certainly look at it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. I like apparently there's lines out, which makes no sense. You can't really have a line out before the week of the game because of injuries. So what if somebody gets hurt now, then the line doesn't matter. So let me know what team or what game you want to talk about, and we can talk about it. But I did this once in Vegas. I was there July, and they posted some key college games. And at the time, it was Michigan was beating Ohio State every year, or Ohio State was beating Michigan like 18 in a row or something. And they had Michigan as a 3-point favorite. And I go to the sports book guy and I says, the spread's wrong. You got the wrong team favored. Ohio State should be favored. And he said, oh, so you're going to bet $1 million on the game? And I'm like, well, I don't have $1 million to bet, or I would. And I made an Ohio State bet, getting 3 points. And then when the week of the game came in November, Ohio State was a 10-point favorite, and they won by 30. And I purposely went back to that guy to cash the ticket, tell him to fuck off. You're doubting me? Me? I'm the professor. You don't doubt me. Philly got KC again in the second week. Yeah, I heard KC, they start with San Diego, and then they got Philly. It's where's the game at? In a Super Bowl, you get teams that are really emotional, and you're looking at, the injuries and other things. You've got a few new players. KC let a few of their defensive players go. Philly still has Jalen Hurts, who's not that good, but they have Barkley and the receivers. So this is more of a revenge game, I would think, just judging it superficially right now, that KC wants revenge. Where's the game at? And then that will determine. So if it's in KC, KC will be a 3-point favorite. If it's in Philly, I would imagine Philly's the 3-point favorite. And I think we want KC as the dog. KC's seen the hand, so they will now come up with the remedy, which is short passing. And it's revenge game. And KC will be very pissed off that it cost them a Super Bowl, while Philly, this is sort of like yesterday's Denver OKC game. Philly doesn't need the game. They won the Super Bowl. They don't need any games. They're living up here with their, winning the Super Bowl, where KC's like, you beat me out of a Super Bowl. So the motivation is on KC. Philly doesn't need the game. They don't care what KC does, and that's really the key to it. So, yeah, I see KC's got a tough schedule. I'll have to check like the Lions and laugh about it. Meanwhile, gold's doing a nice rise back to 31.83. So gold hit 32.20 something at 2:00 in the morning. China didn't buy as much as they've been. And then there's a big derivative down at 6:00, down to from 32.10 down to 31.72, then a little one at 10, which was good because I knew the U.S. would kick it up at 31.60. And then the U.S. is buying, which is good. So 31.83. So we should get back to 3,200. We'll talk about Mark McGuire. Good show today. He's still predicting 4,500. I don't know what that girl was saying yesterday. She said there's no Basel 3. And Mark just said today, yeah, July 1st. And I even went on her comment, and I can show you her comment that I left her, was, what the hell are you talking about? Not only there already is Basel 3 for gold, which came into 2023, but this is the rest of the world Basel 3, July 1st. And that'll make gold. That's why gold ran. And then silver will run once Basel 3 is there. So we'll have that to talk about. Silver still doesn't move because of it's the game, it's the COMEX game of not delivering the silver that's promised, and they owe 30,000 tons, but oh well. And then Alligator was on, and Alligator was talking about China has 20,000 tons of gold, and I'm like, no, they got 60,000 tons. Because what are you talking about? The central bank, the shadow banks, the pensions, the Mafia, what are you talking about? China totally has 60,000 tons in different areas, but that's what China does. So 3183 gold, that's a good, we should be fairly safe today. The FX rate, uh, this is the biggest bunch of bullshit. This FX rate is fixed more than gold and silver. Um, Russian rubles 80.70. Why? Is it worse than the US? All right, let's go to sports, and then we'll get to Mark McGuire, and we can look at the schedules. Is there a certain team you want to look at, uh, David, or just the tops? All right, so let's look at yesterday. So Atlanta, Washington had already went. This is baseball. Minnesota 4, Baltimore nothing. We had Baltimore under. That's a winner. There was only 5 games. We have the White Sox under 9, and that one they lost 7-1. And then Toronto over 8, and that one 8-3. Texas under 7. It was Jacob DeGrom against Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown was 6-1 with a 1.43. Texas wins 1-0. That was our lock, 4-unit. Texas under 7. See, that's why it's hard to play with 2 good pitchers. The team, you just play it under, and that's what happened. And then the Dodgers beat Oakland 19-2, and we're over 10. So 5 for 5 in the 4-unit and 2-unit we hit. All right. So let's look at today's games. Oh, we got till 2:20. You want the Raiders. Raiders I'm a fan of. They haven't been good since Marcus Allen. They haven't been really good since John Madden and then Flores. And their big problem is the coach. Finally have a good coach in Coach Pete. Uh, Davis Jr. here doesn't know what he's doing. I find that with like Al Davis would win, and he'd bring in John Matuzak, and he'd bring in Plunkett, and he'd bring in Mark, all these good players. And when he had Dave Casper, he knew how to get him the ball on the play action pass touchdowns. But when you look at now, they don't know what they're doing. Max Crosby was kind of a mistake. They didn't know he was that good. They don't have a quarterback. When has the Raiders, Al Davis, not had a quarterback and throw it long, right? Even LaMonica. I mean, hell, he used George Blanda, who couldn't really throw it that long, but he was 50 years old. And then he went to Stabler, who was just a winner. He couldn't throw it long, but he was a winner. And this is what they miss now with the analytics. They would never have drafted Stabler now because he's not fast. He doesn't have a big arm. And that's what they miss is the brain and the heart. And Stabler's got when in the Immaculate Reception, remember the score is 6-0 Pitt. He goes a 30-yard touchdown. He wasn't fast, but it was wide open, and he was smart enough to see the lane and run, and he was fast enough to get in, even though he didn't run a 4.240. He was a winner in the sea of hands. He was a winner. So that's the thing. They just couldn't beat Pittsburgh, but nobody could. I mean, that was the perfect team. But then you went to Plunkett, and then where have you gone? Rich Gannon, your coach goes to Tampa, and your other coach doesn't change the plays. Al Davis would have killed the guy if he did that when he was there. They're making a movie about John Madden. Nicolas Cage is playing Madden. Stabler was a gritty player. Stabler was a winner. He was a winner. And that's who you want to bet on, right? That whole sea of hands. He saw the rush coming, so he went to the left. He saw Charles Smith or Clarence Davis. I always get those two confused. Not open, but open enough, and he threw it. And really, the Miami guy should have knocked it down. He went for the interception. It went right through his hands, right into Charles Smith's hands. But he knew where Charles Smith was, and he knew where to throw the ball. That is a winner. That's a skill that is not measured by analytics. That's why you get Drake May drafted and J.J. McCarthy and all these idiots that are not good players. Caleb's not a winner. If Caleb couldn't win with and USC with whatchamacallit as the offensive coordinator, God, I had the name and now I forgot it. If he couldn't win with that offensive coordinator, there's no way he's going to win with this guy from the Lions. Still, they don't have a running attack, and he can't read a defense. It doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. Who is the guy at USC? Whoever he was is a great offensive coordinator, and he couldn't win with him. He ain't going to win with this. It's like Jared Goff couldn't win with Sean McVay. He's not going to win with anybody the Lions have. And that's a key thing you have to understand. I don't know why they didn't lock in the offensive coordinator. Both coordinators left. There had to be a problem with the Lions. They probably don't like the head coach because neither of them are very good head coaches. I don't see the Jets will be lucky to win 5 games, and so will the Bears. These coaches aren't anything. But I mean, look at Bolitnikov. He wasn't a 4.3. He wouldn't have been drafted either. He wasn't a 4.3 40 guy. He probably ran a 4.8 40. But he knew how to get open and he knew how to catch the ball. In the game against Miami, he caught it one-handed and got his feet in. But it's just they're winners. You don't need 5 Cliff Branches on your team. You need 1, but you need a Bolitnikov for the ball control to pick up the first downs and a Dave Casper. And that's how you build a team. You can't have all fast. You got to have somebody who catches the ball for the first downs. And that was Bolitnikov. So Al Davis saw he was a winner. That's the hidden gem here. All right, so we'll get to Oakland anyway. Let me get to the baseball. The White Sox and the Cubbies. The White Sox suck. The Cubbies are pretty good hitters. Cubbies 225, 11 and a half. Pretty big number because the White Sox don't hit. We got Shane Smith for the White Sox, 1-2 with a 208. Cade Horton, 1-0 with a 6.75. I got to go under 11 and a half. How do you justify 11 and a half here? Shane Smith, okay, let's see. He's probably a bullpen guy. See, we're already getting injured, and now we're going to bullpen guys. No, he's a starter, actually. 5 innings, 6 innings, couple runs. So he's legit. And Cade Horton, 1-0 with the 6.75. So, Chicago can't hit and a good pitcher. So, yeah, this is definitely an under 11. I don't get the 11 and a half. I don't know how they arrived at that. When you look at the pitcher and how bad the White Sox hit, and the White Sox are 1 hitter and 7 guys hitting under 225, where are they going to get the runs from? All right, Cleveland, Cincinnati. What is this? Pitt and Philly, the Mets and the Yankees. What kind of weekend? Was the Memorial weekend or is next week Memorial weekend? All I know is my Chinese is closed from Saturday to the following Saturday. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Cleveland 25-18, Cleveland minus 125 and 9. Tanner Bibby 3-3 with the 380. Brady Singer 4-2 with the 497. Cincinnati's not been hitting the ball lately, and Cleveland doesn't hit lately. I don't know. The pitchers, Cleveland. Let's see. Cleveland has 5 hitters. Cincinnati has 5 hitters, so they both should be able to hit these guys. I guess we'll go over 9. No bet, though. All right, Philly and Pitt. Philly's way the better team. Philly 225, 8.5. Andrew Heaney for Pitt, 2-3 with the 315. Rangers Suarez, 1-0 with the 591. This guy was great last year, gets hurt, starts with a terrible game, and then he pitched better. So he pitched 3 innings and gave up 7 runs. So ZRA was way up. Last game, though, he pitched 7 innings and a 3-hitter against Cleveland. So needed that one game. So I like the Rangers, not really a 591. Let's go under here. Philly under 8.5. No bet. Nothing that's perking my INFJ yet. The Mets and the Yankees do not hit. I don't know what the hell is wrong with them. The Mets have some hitting. Lindor, basically. The Yankees 145 and 9 in the Yankees Yankee Stadium. Tyler Miguel 3-3 with the 310. Carlos Rodon 4-3 with the 329. Total of 9. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go under Yankees under 9. Still no bet. Washington, Baltimore. Baltimore 125 and 9. Mackenzie Gore for Washington 2-4 at the 359. Cade Povich 1-3 with the 555. Can these teams hit? Baltimore's got 3 hitters. Washington's got 3 hitters, so they don't hit much. I'm going to go under 9 here. I notice I'm going under a lot, but that's all I can do. Hey, Prophet, I'm going to have to start calling you the totals professor if you keep this up. Well, I do it in football very well. We hit Denver last night. That was a good win. And we hit our lock, Texas under, and Oakland over. So it was a good day. I was 3-0 in my big games yesterday. So wasn't, but Mackenzie Gore 359, Cade Povich. Neither team can hit. So let's go under 9. Detroit and Toronto. Strange Memorial Weekend. Detroit minus 118, 8.5. What is this 118? Jesus. Jack Flaherty, who stinks, 1-5 with the 461 against Bowden Francis, 2-5 with the 540. Toronto can hit. Okay, here's our first bet. We're going to go Toronto over 8.5. And this will be 3-unit bet. We had a 4-unit bet yesterday, Texas under with Houston. It was a 1-0 game. We had both aces, and they actually pitched the way they should. So here, both these pitchers stink, but Detroit keeps hitting, and Toronto can hit. It's at Toronto. So I don't know who's going to win, but I know there should be more than 9 runs scored. Tampa Bay, Miami. Tampa Bay minus 115 and 8. Ty Bradley 3-2, 424. Max Meyer 2-4, 437. Can either of these teams hit? Tampa Bay 4 hitters. Miami 6 hitters, I think. But the thing is, when there's an injury last night or 2 days ago, I don't know about it, and all of a sudden I see a guy hitting 0-0-0 when I think I'm getting a guy hitting 275. So I'm starting to get fucked like that. But we will go Miami over 8. No bet. Hi, New Wine. How are you today? Good afternoon. I was just talking Tampa Bay, Miami. In Miami. So we're going to take the over there. Profit, the Oakland Dodger game was over by the third inning. Yeah, that's how I like it. Oakland can hit the ball. And the Dodgers we know can hit, especially in LA in that little softball stadium they got there. So that's how I like the overs. Get them over in the third. Because once they're over, the game's over. I like that in football when it's like I'm over like 46 and it's 30-20 at halftime. And I go, yeah, that's now I can relax and watch the game. I hate betting the under because you really have to watch the whole game, or I sometimes I can't watch it. I just like, I just kind of I'll come back to it in an hour and hope I see 10-7. Georgia, usually you can count on them to keep that score down. The over is the best wager. Not necessarily. The best wager I had yesterday was the under in the Texas Houston game. It all depends on the pitching. If you got two aces going, they're not going to hit you. They cannot hit good pitching. They can only hit bad pitching. So if you have good pitchers, you've got to be careful, but you got to know they're good pitchers. Well, DeGrom we know and Hunter Brown we know are good pitchers. So that was an easy under. But Oakland and LA hit the ball and they don't have pitching. It's just like football. You got a team like the Lions who can score but have no defense. It's a beautiful over. Washington. I'm not sure with Atlanta. They got some good defensive help. We'll see what they do. No possibility of a backdoor cover. Well, not in baseball. It's all money line. I think you can play like a -1.5 or something, but I just would stick with money line here. Atlanta, Boston. They're both the Braves. Boston moved to Atlanta. Used to be there was a Boston Brave team, then it was the Atlanta Brave, then it was the Milwaukee Braves, and then it was the Atlanta Braves. So that's why this matchup. Atlanta 102-8. Chris Sale 1-3, and Garrett Crochet. See, here you go, Prophet. This is really an under game. Let's look at Chris Sale the last few games. He's pitched every week. He gave up 5 runs against Philly, 4 runs against Tampa, and then his last 5, he gave up 2 to Minnesota, 1 to Arizona, 2 to Colorado, who can't hit, shuts out Cincinnati, and gave up 3 to Pittsburgh, which is mind-numbing considering they can't hit. So fairly good the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. So he had trouble early, and now he's calmed down. So I would look for him to pitch. Crochet 4-2 with the 1. So we're going under here. We're going to go Boston under 8. We'll go 2 units, Chris Sale. So it's hard finding plays. St. Louis, Kansas City. All these inter state games. KC 150, 8.5. I'm not sure about that. St. Louis, pretty good team. They're both 24-20. Andre Palantine, 3-2 with the 4.36 for St. Louis. Cole Reagan's 2-2 with the 4.20. Can either team hit? St. Louis, 7 hitters. Wow. All right. KC, 5 hitters. So we're going to go over here. This makes sense. We got good hitting. We got weak pitching. 8.5. KC over 8.5. And this will be 2 units because it's a good matchup. Houston, Texas, round 2. We got Texas -190-8. Lance McCullers 0-1 with a 15.75. Probably he only pitched 1 or 2 innings. Nathan Eovaldi. Okay, so we're going to take Texas here. Texas won 1-0 yesterday. I'm not going to fuck with the over-under because Lance McCullers is back. So we'll go Texas, 2 units. Finally starting to find plays I can play. Eovaldi, he shut out the Tigers, and 4-2 with the 1.78. Yeah, he's the man. Minnesota, Milwaukee. Minnesota 127.5. Joe Ryan 3-2, 2.74. Chad Patrick 2-3 with a 3.19. I like Minnesota here, but no bet. Joe Ryan's a pretty good pitcher, 2.74. It's a hard game. Neither team's really that good. Colorado, Arizona. Holy shit. All right. So we're going to say this could be a fixed game. Um, Arizona's 4.25. Colorado stinks. They're 7-36. We understand that. Let's look at the pitching. Carson Palmquist for Colorado, 0-0 with an O. Corbin Burns, 2-1 with a 2.95. Burns has been pitching very well the last few games. This guy is no stats. So you're putting a guy in. He went to Miami. There you go, new wine. A Hurricane guy. So, I mean, you got to go with Arizona. I mean, just Corbin Burns is pitching well, and this is his first start. So Colorado's realizing their team stinks, so they're bringing up guys, and they probably stink too. So I can't go over. Under. Arizona can hit. They're at home. They should kill them. So we'll take Arizona here. Seattle, San Diego. San Diego minus 158.5. San Diego, very good team, 27-15. Seattle, not bad, 23-19. Logan Evans, 1-1 with a 3.60 for Seattle. Stephen Kolek, 2-0 with an O for San Diego, but I don't recognize the name. He pitched the complete game shutout against Colorado when they won 21-0 and beat Pitt 4-0. This guy hasn't allowed a run yet. He's pitched 9 innings and 5 innings. Okay, so this guy's the real deal. Seattle, San Diego. So, yeah, this pitcher's good. Logan Evans, 1-1 with the 3.60, total 8.5. Yeah, I'll take San Diego. I've been hot with San Diego. I hit them not yesterday, the day before. Good hitting team. They got some Manny Machado, and they got the other guy from Boston on it. They got some pretty good hitting. Pitching's a little. Dylan Cease is starting to pitch again. The Battle of LA, the Dodgers and the Angels. In the Dodgers, here's another possibly fixed game. The Dodgers minus 300, over under of 9. The worst pitcher in baseball, Jack Konowitz, 2-5 with a 5.23 against Dustin May. We're going to go over. LA over 9. This pitcher is terrible. Let's go. Well, yeah, I guess we can go 2 units on it. I just don't know if California is it can hit the ball. The Dodgers might get the 9 by themselves. You can't play the Dodgers. They're laying 300. And Dustin May's got a 4.08 ERA. He's not the greatest. And our last game, Oakland, San Francisco. I always wanted this to be a Super Bowl. I mean, it was amazing. In 80, it was Oakland, Philadelphia. In 81, it was the Niners, Cincinnati. In 82, it was the Raiders. No, it was Miami, Washington. In 83, it was the Raiders, Washington. In 84, it was the Niners. They never played. It would have been such a great game. The Niners and Oakland in the Super Bowl back in that early 80s when Montana and Oakland had all those players. And they just, I think that was fixed. They didn't want, if you notice, they didn't want them playing each other. Baseball, we got them playing. The Niners minus 200 and a total of 7. JP Sears, 4-2 with the 2.80. Logan Webb, 4-3 with the 2.60. What do we do here? We know Oakland rips the cover off the ball, and the 49ers they don't hit that well. They got Yastrzemski Jr. on it, but that's about it. Probably his grandson, because Yastrzemski played in the 60s, early 70s. Yeah, so this is probably his grandson. JP Sears, 4-2 with the 2.80. God, I hate playing under with Oakland, and I can't play the Niners. I'm going to go under here. Here's where it's a tough bet, under 7. I don't want to play Oakland under. I want to play them like I did yesterday where I had against the Dodgers, but the pitching won't allow me to play this over. I got to be out of my mind. A 2.80 and a 2.60 ERAs and go over, even though it's 7. Not that it can't go 7, but this should be a quiet game, so we'll go under. So let's look at the games. The White Sox under 11.5, Cleveland over 9, Philly under 8.5, the Yankees under 9, Baltimore under 9, Toronto over 8.5, Miami over 8, Boston under 8, KC over 8.5, Texas, Minnesota, Arizona may be fixed, San Diego, the Dodgers may be fixed, over 9 though, and the Niners under 7. My picks: Toronto over 8.5, 3 units, Boston under 8, 2 units, KC over 8.5, 2 units, Texas 2 units, and the Dodgers over 9, 2 units. So we found 5. I wasn't sure I could find any today, but I find 5. So good luck on that. The big lock hit yesterday, Texas under 7. Beautiful, both aces going in a 1-0 game, which is what we expect when both aces go. To the NBA, Batman, and then we'll go to we'll take a look at the Raiders' schedule. So yesterday, our lock was Denver in a must-win game against OKC, getting 5 points at home, just a dream, and they win big. They win by like 17 or something. And, it just gets crunch time. They have to win, and then Oklahoma City goes, we don't have to win. We'll get them in game 7. We're not eliminated, but they are, and that's the beauty of the method to my madness. It's a psychological. When one team has to win and the other team doesn't, you always bet the team that has to win. It's just psychology. Now, if the team's good enough, it doesn't mean a terrible team has to win and they're going to win. Like Golden State got the injury, Cleveland had some injuries, and they buckled. Or some 8 seeds that, even though they're down 3-1 and they have to win, they're not going to win. But if you get a good team who has to win, they're going to win, right? Boston and the Knicks, game number 6. The Knicks lead 3-2. The Knicks are favored by 2.5, 211.5. Now, Jack Tatum got hurt. Boston won by 20. So apparently Jack Tatum's not a very good player. It's not like Larry Bird getting hurt. Okay. It's not like Magic Johnson getting hurt. Kareem getting hurt. So it's total. Well, Kareem got hurt. Magic still scored 50 against Philly. So it's not like that. It's strictly Jack Tatum is what? He's better on the Raiders than he is apparently on Boston. They didn't miss a beat. Now, here you have Boston, the Knicks laying 2.5. I do not like the Knicks in this game. I like Boston in this game. Only because they're favored. Now you got Boston as a dog. Oof. And in a must-win, and the Knicks can lose and have a game 7. Boston cannot lose. And they're a dog, even if they do lose. It's only 2.5. I do not see the Knicks blowing out Boston tonight. It ain't going to happen. So I like Boston here. Not a lock. Decent bet. Just strictly because they have to win and the Knicks don't have to. The fact they're at home doesn't mean anything. Look at yesterday. OKC, okay, they're at Denver, but they could lose, and now they're home for game 7. They lost. They relaxed. I think Golden State did that the series before. They could lose. I think it was game 6, and they lost it, and then they won game 7. I don't remember who they were playing. But that's what you have here. The Knicks can lose the game, and they're favored by 2.5. So Boston's pissed their dogs and pissed that and now they have to win. And we saw Boston have to win 2 days ago, and they blew them out. So at the end of the day, is Boston better than New York? Well, they got 61 wins to New York's 51. So they're a very good team. Are they better than the Knicks? Yeah. How the Knicks won the first, how they got up 3-1 is crazy. Where was Boston then? Why didn't Boston win game 3 or game 4 to get down 3-1? But they woke up in game 5, and now they're game 6. Now the question is, can they win in New York? Why not? I think they won one of the games in New York. So I look for New York to, and New York's favored by 2.5. Yeah, I like Boston here. Boston, New York might win by 1, maybe by 2. This is not a blowout Knicks like Denver did yesterday. Denver had to win. Oak City didn't. That's where you get the blow off. Folks say, yeah, we got game 7. We'll beat them in game 7. And then the roof caves in. And that's the same thing here. You'll see Boston play a very, very spirited game, especially once we get into the fourth quarter. If they're down a lot, they'll make it up. And if they're close, they'll take the lead. Take Boston plus, and you're getting 2.5. Like I say, when these teams are dogs, they play a whole different game than when they're favored. Look at Mahomes, Josh Allen. Some of these teams a whole lot different when they're the dogs. David, sounds good. Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's look at the Oakland Raiders NFL schedule release. Well, they're talking more about it than they're actually. Wait. The full NFL schedule in all its glory. So where's this? Oh, okay, Atlanta. What's Oakland's probably last? Yeah. Well, where did it go? I get to the AFC North. And it goes AFC East. AFC South. And then there's no AFC West. Chiefs to face Chargers in Brazil week 1. And then it gets into Sam Darnold, expectations. He'll win 5 games. And I don't see where they've got the AFC West. Geno Smith, the Raiders. Oh, Chip Kelly's coming in as an offensive coordinator. The Raiders are expected to lean heavily on the run and utilize a creative, multi-fast ground attack. Who do they get as a running? Oh, yeah, with Gentry. So we'll see. But where my AFC South schedule? Of course, that's what we want to see. Why is it? Where's the AFC South or West? All right. So you open September 7th at New England, and then you're at home versus San Diego. You go to Washington. It'll be a tough one. The Bears. Okay, so what do you want me to say? If they're going to win or lose? Personally, I think the Raiders can win 9 games this season with a little luck. All right, so let's say if they're going to win or lose, provided everybody's healthy now. So it's very hard to predict a game in October until you know if there's injuries. So I'm just going to give you based on now. Oakland at New England. I like Oakland. New England's terrible. Oakland's not much better. Oakland at home against San Diego. I gotta like San Diego there. Oakland at Washington. I gotta like Washington there. Oakland at home against the Bears. Yeah, I like Oakland there. Oakland at Indy. Oakland should be able to win that one. Oakland at home against Tennessee. Oakland should win that one. Oakland at KC. I think KC wins that one. I do think Oakland could beat them at home. Oakland against Jacksonville. They'll kill Jacksonville. Oakland at Denver is going to be a little trouble. Oakland at home against Dallas. They can definitely beat that one. Why can't I get all the games? And then it stops. The fuck's going on with this thing? All right, so now let's try this one. So we have Oakland at KC. Okay, Oakland to beat Jacksonville. They'll lose at Denver. They'll beat Dallas at home. They'll beat Cleveland at home unless Dylan Gabriel's really what I think he is, and they're playing him, not Joe Flacco. Again, that depends on the quarterback. Oakland at San Diego. Didn't they already play San Diego at San Diego? Oh, no, the first one's at home. So I like Oakland at home, and then they'll lose at San Diego. Oakland home against Denver. I don't want to bet against Sean Payton. Oakland at Philly, forget about it. Oakland at Houston. They could win that one. CJ Stroud's terrible. Oakland should beat the Giants, and Oakland could beat Kansas City. So they're lucky as they get the AFC South. That's 4 wins. In the division, they could maybe beat San Diego and KC at home. Depends how they're playing. The Giants, yes. At Houston, they'll give them a game. At Philly, no chance. At home to Denver, possibly. Cleveland, yes. Dallas, yes. Jacksonville, of course. Tennessee, yeah. I mean, that's an easy one. At Indy, yes. The Bears, yeah. They got a good schedule. Well, let's see. At New England, that's 1. The Bears, Indy, Tennessee, Jacksonville is 5. Dallas is 6. Cleveland is 7. The Giants is 8. And then maybe they could beat KC, San Diego, or Denver. They could win. So let's say 8. Let's give them 9. And they're not going to win at Philly, and maybe KC the end of the year if KC's wrapped it up. So we give them 8-9 wins. I don't know why there is a preseason. They got Seattle, the Niners, and Arizona. I don't get that. if nobody tries. See, here's the problem with these teams: they don't play their guys. What are you doing? They don't play their guys. What's the point of the preseason? And then they're not ready. The season starts. So the Lions have. I heard that Hutchinson's injury takes like 3 years to get healed. And they're planning on him, being well. They won't play him in the preseason, so you have no idea. And guess what? If I'm the other team, I'm going right after whatever he broke. I mean, we're gonna have fun with this guy, especially if he burns me on a rush. Is he going to be as strong getting to the quarterback before the broken leg? No chance. So let's see. All right, what other? Who's our next? Who's our next pitch? It doesn't really. Let's see. So let's look at Buffalo. No, I wanted to look at Buffalo. I hate when the phone does that. Like you're about to hit it and it jumps up and you end up hitting the wrong thing. Now you've got to simply ignore um, the draft. I mean, Gentry will make the team, but all these other guys that Oakland drafted or Miami or Kansas City or anybody, you doubt they'll make the team, and if they do, they're not going to start. They'll be special teams players. Although the league's so bad now with this bullshit kickoff, but then you punt the ball, so I don't get why you can't kick the ball off. It should just be a regular kickoff. Move them back 5 yards or move them back 10 yards and let them kick off. You want to see that action. You're killing the game without it. All right, Buffalo opens against Baltimore at home. Interesting game. They'll kill the Jets. They'll kill Miami. They'll kill New Orleans. They'll kill New England. Good game with Atlanta. That's going to be an over. At Carolina, they'll kill them. Kansas City, November 2nd. That probably be an over. At Miami, they'll kill. Tampa Bay, they should. It's in Buffalo in November. At Houston, Houston has a pretty good defense. C.J. Stroud's terrible. At Pittsburgh, depends if Will Howard's the quarterback or who they got quarterbacking. Versus Cincinnati, they will struggle with this game. This is a over game. Joe Burrow loves this type of game, so it's in Buffalo. Give me Cincinnati over 3, and we're taking Cincinnati there. At New England, an easy one. At Cleveland, an easy one. And then they get Philly at home. Look out. And then the Jets, Jets. So Buffalo's got Philly. They've got Cincy. They've got Pitt and Tampa, Kansas City, and Atlanta. So that's what they got. And Baltimore they open with. Baltimore, oh yeah, they got Lamar. Oh no, he chokes every time. All right, let's see. Who do we want to talk about? Let's look at Joe Burrow. Joey baby opens at Cleveland, that's a win. Versus Jacksonville, that's a win. At Minnesota, that's a win. At Denver, they'll probably win it. A close game. Home against Detroit, they'll win it. At Green Bay, they'll win it. Home against Pitt, they'll win it. Against the Jets, easy. Against the Bears, easy. At Pitt, probably a loss. Home against New England, no problem. At Baltimore, we'll see. They play Baltimore very, very tough. At Buffalo, they can handle that. Then they get Baltimore again. At Miami is a win versus Arizona is a win versus Cleveland. So they got the two Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore stretch. They'll probably split with Baltimore, and they can beat Buffalo. See, this is why we have Joe Burrow and Chase, and nobody can stop them. And Buffalo doesn't have the defense to really do it. Probably an over. we'll see how strong Cincinnati's defense got. What they drafted 3 or 4 guys who could make the team because they had such a weak defense, and then they did draft a running back in like the 5th or 6th round who's really good. So give Cincinnati some balance, and then if their defense plays better, otherwise it's going to be, oh, the over under is 50. We're going over with Cincinnati every week. So we will see. Let's go. Who else? Who do we want to see? And we got to see what happens to Aaron Rodgers. All right, Washington. This is the over team, and Detroit are the over team. Good quarterback, good offense, no defense. All right. Let's see. All right, this is Washington. They open up with the Giants. That's a win. At Green Bay, that's a win. A home against Oakland. They should handle Oakland. At Atlanta should be a fabulous game. Penix against Daniels. At San Diego should be a good game. They'll kill the Bears. At Dallas is a win. At KC, probably a loss. At home to Seattle, that's a win. A home to Detroit. Oh, we saw them kill them last year, so they can beat Detroit. At Miami's a joke. At home against Denver will be a toughie. At Minnie's a winner. At the Giants is a winner. A home against Philly's tough. A home against Dallas is a win. And at Philly's tough. The defense will handle him and the running. So you need a defense and Barkley to beat Washington because he'll ball control. Washington's weakness is stopping the run. So you got to see what teams are smart enough to have running backs. So Oakland probably has a chance because they do have Gentry, but they don't have the defense. They're not going to be able to stop Daniels. Overall, not bad. They'll have a lot of wins. I like that Washington Atlanta game. Penix and Daniels should be good. Well, let's look at Kansas City. All right. Casey's at San Diego, which they normally beat. They go, and that's in Brazil. Then it's Philadelphia. Then it's at home to Philly. That's a revenge game. Look for them to play well. The Giants is a kill. At home against Baltimore, they always beat. They know how to guard Lamar. Jacksonville is a joke. At home against Detroit, should be a very high scoring game. At home against Oakland. At home against Washington. So there's a lot of high scoring games here. At Buffalo, high scoring. At Denver, that'll be a defensive struggle. Indy is an easy win. At Dallas is an easy win. At home to Houston's an easy win. At home to San Diego. At Tennessee's a joke. At home to Denver, and then at Oakland. So they might lose the at Oakland if they've clinched. But I don't see much trouble for them. At Buffalo's, they can win. Detroit's an easy one. Baltimore and Philly will give them trouble, but they tend to beat them. Philly will be different because it's the second week. Philly's still relaxing because they're the Super Bowl champs. So that's always the part of the equation. It's hard to measure how the team will react after winning the Super Bowl. All right. What else do we got? Anything else from anybody that they want to hear about? So how I rank the teams in the NFC, Philadelphia is the best team. They have the defense, they have the balanced offense. They got Barkley, not Hurts. They got Barkley, and they got all my Georgia guys. So that's why they're number one. And I don't see them beating Washington 12-5 last year. See Caleb versus Daniels, and the Bears take Caleb. And they were like sold on him. And here's Daniels, and he's 10 times better than him. And you just simple like that. Oh no, the Bears have to draft all these receivers. Washington didn't have great receivers. They had McKinnon, I think. They had one guy that didn't stop them. But what stopped them was Caleb and the bad coaching. And we will see. But the Bears, I don't like their new coach. So the best team's Philly. Number two is Washington. And the Rams, I think, will be up there. Seattle, forget it with Darnold, Arizona. The Niners drafted okay. Is McCaffrey's back? How did they replace Deebo Samuel? That receiver they took last year was terrible. I don't see him doing anything. Why did you draft a guy from Florida who didn't do anything? Well, he's fast. That's where the analytics get him. Well, he's fast. Yeah, but he can't catch. He doesn't get open. He's not a winner. And that's what analytics misses. Oh, at the combine, he ran a 4.2. He ran a 3.940. Yeah, but he can't get open and he can't catch the ball. Yeah, but he's really fast. That's how stupid it is. So I like the Rams and the NFC West, and we'll see what the Niners do better. The South will be Atlanta, and Tampa probably will be those two. New Orleans has no chance. Carolina stinks. Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago. I think this is a very weak division. Detroit, no defense. Minnesota needs a quarterback, has Jefferson and everything, and they went with this quarterback. They're out of their minds. Green Bay, Jordan Love is not very good. He gets injured a lot. He gets in, and he doesn't play well in good game. Again, the Lions games, he didn't show up, and I don't know. He's not very strong. So I'm wondering if Green Bay is that good. And the Bears, the new coach, they'll be lucky to win 5 games, I think. I just don't see. They had a pretty good defense, but that one guy who let the Hail Mary go against Washington wasn't even on the field talking to fans. This is the problem you have there. And this offensive coordinator guy from the Lions isn't going to stop that. So I doubt the Bears get much better. Green Bay, I'm questioning. Minnesota is never going to go 14-3 with J.J. McCarthy, and the Lions won't come close to 15-2. So I think this gets hurt the most. So I think it's Washington and Philly. Dallas won't do anything. They still have Dak Prescott, so that's holding them back. And the Giants, they need Lawrence Taylor back. Who is the Miller quarterback the Raiders picked up in the draft? What's his name? Miller. Well, let's see. Let's go into their roster. Cam Miller. This is the Division II guy, isn't it? So they got Aiden O'Connell, Gene Smith, Hack Malik Williams. Cam Miller, let's see. Cam Miller, North Dakota State. Oh, he's nothing. Yeah, he won't make the team. Carter Bradley probably won't. So you got Geno Smith, and O'Connell will be the backup. And Geno Smith's not too good. running backs, they got Gentry and Sincere McCormick is the stud, and then Raheem Mozart. So they got some pretty good running backs with Gentry, McCormick, and Mozart. McCormick was great at UTSA. Mozart, we've seen at Frisco. We've seen him at Miami. He's pretty good. So they got three good running backs. Wide receivers, their problem. Jacoby Myers, and then Dante Thornton. I don't know. This is where they're really weak is wide receiver. They have nobody. But then they have Brock Bowers and they have Michael Mayer, the tight ends. Brock Bowers is really a receiver. He's really your slot receiver. And then Michael Mayer is good. So those two really are your receivers. And then this, I don't know, this Thornton guy or Jacoby Myers, I've heard of, good running. Offensive line, who the hell knows? I mean, that's my point. You don't have a clue with the offensive line. Oh yeah, Will Putnam. He'll be the difference maker. Dalton Wagner, Dylan Park. I mean, who knows? I mean, you can't even begin to figure that out. So he's just a North Dakota State guy. He's not any good. He's not beating out Geno Smith. The problem is, why didn't they draft Dylan Gabriel? You had him into the third round. You could have drafted him and you would be fine with Dylan Gabriel. He's much better than Geno Smith. And then Aiden O'Connell shouldn't even be in the pros. He was terrible at Purdue. All of a sudden you drafted him because, he's got size and he's got a good arm, but he's not a winner. Look at him at Purdue. He couldn't do anything in the Big Ten. That's why I like the guy O'Rourke from Indiana. He's a good quarterback. Gabriel will be a starter. He should start for Cleveland. Maybe not right away, but he should. Cam Miller's nothing. Well, I'm not giving Oakland 10 wins, but they have, if they beat the teams they should beat, they should have 7 or 8. And then you got San Diego, Denver, and KC at home. You got to beat them. And I think the team they can beat is the team they can run on the best. And I don't know, all those 3 teams, I don't know you can run on any of them. Denver's strong defensively. San Diego, that's what Harbaugh does. And KC's very strong defense. So that's where Oakland's going to need the quarterback, who they don't have. Geno Smith's not going to beat any of those teams. So that's where they have to get better defensively. You've got Bo Nix and you got Mahomes and Herbert. They can't really stop them. That's their problem. And they don't really have a quarterback that's going to do anything. So Geno Smith's not the answer. Anybody else? Well, they should have, and I think probably even in the third round, they could have got him until Cleveland took him. So, yeah, it was a big mistake. They were sold on, I think what happens is they were sold on Geno Smith. They traded for him, and then they needed linemen and defense more than another quarterback. So they think, well, Geno Smith will get us through this year. He's okay. We can win 8 or 9 games with him. And they picked up some defense and some linemen. So next year they've got to, get a quarterback or trade for one of them. But I guess they thought Geno Smith would get them through. I don't know. I would never have gotten Geno Smith, but that could be like Kirk Cousins. You drafted Kirk Cousins figuring you'd never get Penix, but when Penix is available, you got to get Penix. The only problem is they waited so long to play Penix. If they would have played him after like week 7 or 8, they'd have made the playoffs. That guy's superstar. So they could have had Gabriel. Right. Well, like I said, they needed more help. They needed defensive help. How are you going to stop Mahomes? Well, you need some defense and you need some more pass rushing. and they play KC pretty good. So that's kind of what they're looking at. Um, what else do we got in football? Any other teams, players? Well, let's go through the AFC. I went through the NFC. All right, AFC. So we got Buffalo easily winning the East. Nobody else even there. We've got Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh in the North. I'm going to give the edge to Cincinnati, and then Lamar, and then Pittsburgh. We don't know who the quarterback is on Pitt. We know what Lamar is. He's a choke, and we know Joe Burrow is a superstar. So I think Cincinnati really they ended up 9-8, and they kind of had a bad year. They had a bad start. So I see Cincinnati. There's not the new quarterbacks that we had last year. We had they lost to Washington because they didn't know how to play Daniels. You had Penix, you had Bo Nix. This year there's nothing. Cam Ward, he'll be lucky to start at Tennessee. He's not very good. Gabriel probably won't start at Cleveland. Probably go to Flacco. The kid Rourke, I don't know what team he's on. San Francisco, I think. He won't play. So there really wasn't quarterbacks that are going to come in you don't know how to play. Houston will win the South because there's nobody there. Indy stinks. I love how they you got to watch the Colorado guy. Why? I didn't watch him in college. He's not going to matter because Trevor Lawrence sucks. And Jacksonville, Indy's got no quarterback. Tennessee's got no quarterback. So Houston will probably win the South. And then we got the West. We got KC. We got the whole West. Let's say KC, San Diego, Denver, and Oakland. I'll give the edge to KC. And then I think Denver second. And then I think San Diego third. And then Oakland needs a quarterback. So I will be honest with that. I'm not going to sugarcoat Oakland because I got Oakland guys here. But that's just the reality of it. But I do think they'll win. They can go 8-9. And if they get a win at home against Denver, San Diego, and KC, they could win 10 games. But they got an easy schedule, the Bears, the Giants. So they should do pretty well. So it's KC, San Diego, and Denver. It's Houston. It's Cincinnati and Baltimore, and it's Buffalo. So pretty much normal. I don't see Miami should be getting worse. The Jets are going to be terrible. New England's going to be terrible. If they think Drake May's the quarterback, they're out of their minds. Boys, Prophet, the key for the Raiders is splitting with KC, Denver, and San Diego. Well, the key for the Raiders is to win the Giants, the Bears, Cleveland, to win those games. And they need to go and have at least 7 wins at home, right? Which means beating 1 or 2 of those teams at home. KC, they play very well. It's still a rivalry with them. John Madden's still on the sideline. So, yeah, when KC plays Oakland, it's still a big rivalry. Not so much as with Denver and San Diego. Raiders need a good young quarterback. Well, that's the thing. They need that. They did get Gentry, and they have Sincere McCormick. They got running, and they got Brock Bowers. So you've got to work on a game plan that. Now, bringing in Chip Kelly after what he did at Ohio State is very good. But I agree. They need the quarterback. If I was them, I would trade for the Tampa backup. Or I'd get Hartman and see what he's about. I would at least give Hartman a chance. Hartman's a very good quarterback. I can't believe he's not playing. Cam Rising, I would pick up, but he's retired because of his hand, which he ran it into the Gatorade container, but you'd think that would heal. So he really and it probably was his passing hand. That's too bad. That would be a beautiful sleeper to get Cam Rising. And then there's the guy at Tampa, the backup, Hartman. Those 2 guys I'd bring in. I'd bring in Hartman. He's I guarantee much better than Aiden O'Connell. It's not even close. and I would think he's better than Geno Smith. So I don't know what's going on, why nobody's taking Hartman. That's ridiculous. Um, and we'll see. You know, but they need a good core. I mean, you got Brock Bowers. You got probably the best receiver in the league in Brock Bowers. So you just need running, which you got Gentry, and now build your defense. You need a killer defense. You need an Eagle defense. Go get some guys from Georgia. Get some guys from Iowa State, from Oregon. Go get some defense. And then that's the start of it. You can win with Geno Smith if you have the Philly defense. I mean, look at Philly. They went with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts stinks. But he didn't have to do the defense got all the picks against how many picks did they hit Mahomes and sacked him? That's how you win the game is controlling the defense. So that should be their, and that's easy to pick. So that should be their first thing they do is go get some Georgia guys. Look at Atlanta; they got a Georgia defensive end. They'll be much better this year. You see, you've added Penix, Bijan Robinson, and now you've added these Georgia guys. So look for Atlanta to be much better. I don't think Hartman's injured. I don't know. He was, I guess Washington picked him up, which I couldn't understand. You had Daniels. So I don't know if he's still there. I don't know if he's injured. Who is that guy on Georgia? Stenson Benson. He's a backup on the Rams. I'd go after him. I don't know. He's very good. They're all better than Geno Smith and Aiden O'Connell. I mean, come on, Aiden O'Connell's terrible. So yeah, I mean, it's really the only thing you can get out of looking at the schedule is strictly who you play. Forget the line, and to try to pick the games is ridiculous because of injuries. You don't know if Geno Smith gets hurt and Aiden O'Connell's, they're not going to win anything. However, if they get KC and Mahomes got hurt or Herbert got hurt, hey, then yeah, they should win that game. And there's so many injuries. That's where you really. That's why I would say, please don't play these sucker bets. How many wins will Oakland get? Forget about it. You don't know because of the injuries. Just bet the game the following week. Here comes week one. Here's the line. Okay, we're betting this team. Here's week two. Because you don't even know what half these teams are right now, right? Look at Washington. We didn't have Washington making the playoffs and that. We knew Daniels was good, but until they beat Cincinnati at Cincinnati, and then we saw their high scoring, then it became they're an over bet. Not that they would win, but we know they'd score a lot of points because they had Daniels. And then Penix comes in, and with Cousins, we can't bet them, but when Penix comes in, we're betting them over. So you got the first lock will be Washington, Atlanta. We got Penix and Daniels playing each other. That'll be a 75-point game. Our over-under will be in the 40s. That's game one. And then most of these Detroit, most of them will be over games, like the Detroit-Buffalo game, the Detroit-Washington game last year. I think they get Baltimore. Baltimore will kill them. Detroit has no defense, and they didn't get any better. And the fact Aiden Hutchinson played or not, he played in the Niner game, in the championship game, and they gave up 35 there. He will not play very well. He will probably not finish the season. He broke his leg. Look at Cam Rising. It took him a year to get back in. This guy got hurt in October. I was in Italy. So he's got to go to at least October before he's ready. And even if he's got castor oil on, it doesn't matter. But he's not going to. He will not be as good as he was. It's impossible. You can't break your leg and be better. It doesn't work that way, fellas. Injury's always slow. He's older, so I don't know. I think the Lions made a big mistake not drafting a defensive end. The defensive tackle they got from Ohio State's terrible. Didn't make a play. He just kind of sits there, but you won't see him making any sacks or any tackles for losses. I mean, he's getting pushed around by Oregon, and Michigan's pushing him around. I thought that was a terrible pick. Everybody loves this GM. I don't know why. I mean, he made some very basic. I'll take a running back in the first round and a wide receiver from Alabama. Well, geez, my mother could have made those picks. But then when it really got to it, he didn't do anything last year. He didn't do anything this year. Anyway, who do you like in college this year? Well, it depends who my quarterbacks are. Who's still there? Who got drafted? I always like Army because they're well coached and they run an offense that's really hard to defend within their limits. I think I like Tennessee. From what I heard yesterday, Joey Aguilar from App State is now the quarterback for Tennessee. He's very good. I thought he was going to be drafted, but he didn't go. He's playing his 12th year, I guess, because he played a lot for App State. So I like Tennessee. Should be explosive, good coach, and Heupel. And then Joey Aguilar is much better. I don't know where the other guy went, the volleyball player, but he's not a good quarterback. He's like Uglia Buglia. I can't believe Uglia Buglia didn't get drafted. Come on, he's strong, he's fast, but he can't coach. He can't be a quarterback. Georgia, they got the backup quarterback was pretty good. So you always got to like Georgia. The coach is still there. Alabama, look for them to get good. I love the coach. They just had to play Milrose, so Milrose is not a drop back passer like Penix was. So he goes all the way to the title game with Penix. Then he gets Milrose, and this is where you hear me bitching. Milrose is not a good quarterback. Penix is a great quarterback. And look what the coach did with the great quarterback. That's what a good coach does. But with Milrose, I mean, they lost 3 or 4 games. See, that's my point. So why do you like Milrose? Well, he's a good athlete, but he doesn't win games. If you don't win in college, you're not going to win in pros. It gets harder, not easier. So that's where I see it with Milrose. He's Seattle got him. Yeah, if you see him in the game, forget about it. These guys that run for 10, 20 yards, they do it at their own 30 when the defense is, playing this stupid zone. But once they get inside the 30, the running doesn't work. There's nowhere to run. And they're keying on you, and the defense has less to offend. So that's why the running quarterback doesn't really work at all, once you get into the 30-yard line and in. So it looks good when they run for 20 yards, but that's it. Who else? Notre Dame played pretty well. Penn State, they lost their quarterback. Michigan, they're going to be terrible. Well, I don't know. They get this new quarterback. How good's the new quarterback? This is where we really need 3 or 4 weeks to see how they play against good teams, how the quarterback is. The quarterback beats Arkansas State. You just ignore it. It didn't mean anything. Now, if they play Alabama and the quarterback beats them, fine. Then we got a guy. But I don't know. So we got Michigan with their new quarterback who is a high school guy. So you have no idea what this guy is. So you have your teams that the normal teams, this NIL, they're paying the players. You pay everybody? You paying the left tackle and the right tackle, or just the quarterback and a big stud running back? That's not clear to me. So you got to be careful, because if these teams are drafting are pulling the good players out of these other teams, then you've got to do that. You don't have consistency if the players are coming in for a year and leaving and then playing, So Oogly Boogly went from Clemson to Oregon State 1 year and then to Florida State 1 year. You can't win with football, maybe basketball, but you can't win football games if I don't know where you're going and you don't know the players and everything. It's just really stupid. Who's your Super Bowl pick, TK? I got Bengals and Eagles. I don't really know because I don't know about injuries at this time. Um, I would take the best two defenses, so I would think the Eagles. Let's see how good Washington got. The Rams certainly could be in the mix, and in the AFC, I think you got to look at KC, maybe Denver, and Buffalo. Not Baltimore, because they can't win. So maybe Cincinnati. It'd be those, not Houston. Nobody in the South and nobody in the, Cincinnati, and then and Buffalo, because that's all they got. So probably though a mix of those should be there to signal one out. I don't know, but I do agree. I do agree with Cincinnati from the standpoint they did get a running back and they did get some defense. So if you go to Cincinnati, because you've got Joe Burrow and he has beaten Kansas City and Buffalo a couple times. So let's see, who did they pick up? How did they got Peyton Thorne? He's terrible. He's one of their backup quarterbacks. Running back, they pick up Tajay Brooks from Texas Tech. Outstanding. This will be your starter. Sammy Perrine just isn't very good. Chase Brown sounds familiar. Is he out of Missouri? But Tajay Brooks is good. He'll give them that. And we know they got Chase and Higgins. That's all. Tight ends. Gesicki's very good out of Penn State. So they're pretty loaded offense. Jesus, they got like 20 offensive linemen. So hopefully some of them are okay. Defensive line, Trey Hendrickson. So they got a lot of players, but none of them can play except for Trey Hendrickson. I thought they added a few rookies, linebackers. This is where they're really weak. And then the secondary. Their biggest problem is their coach. Taylor Britt, cornerback, is I've heard of, but they're not really good. But I do like Tajay Brooks from Texas Tech. Very good running back. It's what they needed. All right. We'll go to Mark McGuire in a minute when we're done with this. So you got to have balance offensively. So since he's got the hard part, they got Burrow and they got Chase, and now they got this Brooks. They just need help with the defense, and it always comes down to that, because how are you going to stop Buffalo and how are you going to stop Kansas City? That's how you stop them, is what Philadelphia did. So the best two defensive teams last year were Philadelphia and Kansas City. San Diego and Denver are also good defensively. And now you got Bo Nix with another year, and you've got the best coach in Sean Payton. Harbaugh I don't like as a coach, and Harbaugh Jr. I don't like as a coach at Baltimore. Anybody that stupid well, maybe Lamar will be better this year. He's been there 8 years. Well, maybe next year he'll win. No, he ain't winning. If he was going to win, he's not a winner. Mahomes has won 4 Super Bowls, and you're still fucking around with Lamar as your quarterback. Why? Are you an idiot? Sounds like you're an idiot. Well, the fans want him. Put him at wide receiver. If you want to win, if I'm the coach of Baltimore, he's my wide receiver. He's never my quarterback. He's my wide receiver, and I'm going to use him on reverses, and maybe I'll throw like that. Otherwise, I'm running screens for the guy because he's very fast, very hard to tackle, especially against the cornerbacks, right? That's how I would use Lamar. He is not my quarterback. No way, no chance. And why doesn't Harbaugh see this? What is he? Well, this year we'll win. No, you're not. He's not a good quarterback. Sorry, not a winner. I don't know what this is. Anyway, so that's what's going on with that. Anything else? Yeah, if they stay healthy. Well, that's why you can't really pick them now. That's why I don't want you guys to start picking, how many wins KC or Denver has or Cincinnati, just because of the injuries. I mean, yeah, if they're all healthy now, they can win so many games, but you don't know if they get, or if somebody goes down, how you gonna replace it? And then like last year with Daniels coming, I saw it coming, but most people didn't see that he was going to be that good, or Penix or Bo Nix. I did, but again, I'm the exception. This year, no. Cam Ward, I would not bet Tennessee to win 5 games. Mm-mm. And that's it. What's the other quarterback? Kid on New Orleans, Tyler Shaw. No, he's not any good. He's decent, but he's not going to do anything. Penix, yeah, you'll get a lot of wins. Penix, I think, is the sleeper where I think you could win. Maybe you bet over on Penix, provided he stays healthy. And then it's, where does Kirk Cousins fall? Where does Aaron Rodgers fall? Who's starting at Pittsburgh? Are the Jets going with Fields? If they're going with Fields, then I would bet under, even if it's 2. The Jets won't win any games if Fields is their quarterback. He stinks. He stunk on the Bears. He stunk when Pittsburgh. What do you need to see? So the key is Pittsburgh. They did add a running back and a receiver. They added DK Metcalf, and they've got great defense. So if they have a quarterback, look for Pitt to be a sleeper. I'm saying Cincinnati because they've got the great offense. They did bring in some defense and some linemen and then a running back for balance. And they're all pissed off because they went 9-8, but they should have made the playoffs, and they could have beat anybody in the playoffs. They've beaten Kansas City and they've beaten Buffalo. So don't fuck with Joe Burrow in a playoff in a big game. He's there. All the big games you won at LSU. So keep that in mind. Staying healthy is the key. Balance is the key on offense. You must be able to run and pass, and then defense. You've got to have a good defense. And these stupid zones, you get picked apart. You've got to play a little more man on man, and you cannot spy the running quarterbacks. I'm sorry, you blitz them. You want to stop the running, you blitz them. The Steelers, the 78 or 79 championship game against Houston and Earl Campbell, Joe Green lived in the Houston backfield, and Earl Campbell got 30 yards because you get him before he gets going. Like, he gets the ball and you're tackling him, he's not going to do much. That's how you beat these running quarterbacks. Not that hard, fellas. But that's what you've got to do. And these coaches are so bad, they just play their stupid zone and they get picked apart. What is that? But it's hard to play man on man against Lamar. He's going to run on you, or this Drake May guy, who's really not a good quarterback, but he's a good runner. All right. Anything else with football? I'm giving you the baseball games. Toronto over 8.5, 3 units. Boston under 8, 2. KC over 8.5, 2. Texas and the Dodgers over 9, 2 units. Look out for the fixed games. Arizona and the Dodgers could be fixed. We got pretty high numbers. Basketball, we're going with the Celtics as a dog to the Knicks. You got to be kidding me. They showed you when the chips were down and they had to win, they blew them out. Chips are down again. They have to win. The Knicks still can lose and get them in game 7. And I think that's the key. So I think Boston getting 2.5. Not a lock, but a good play. All right, let's look at Mark McGuire. All right, so he explains. Now, we watched this video with this girl yesterday saying, oh, there is no Basel 3. I go on Google. Yeah, Basel 3, July 1st. Mark McGuire, Basel 3, July 1st. And that's what we needed to get the gold price going up is they Basel 3 gold. They didn't Basel 3 silver. That's why gold goes through the roof and silver doesn't move at all because they don't have to deliver the silver. So therefore the price isn't going up. The gold they have to deliver, so they have to buy it. There's not enough out there, and the gold price keeps on moving. So let's hear a little Mark McGuire from the week. It's not out that long. It's 40 minutes, but we're going to start at the 5-minute mark. And what's going on? So China is buying a lot. The West still doesn't buy because we're too stupid to buy gold, basically. All right.
Every global AM and PM fix, because that's the benchmark where you need, as an auction, you need to have an auction price when you're buying in that kind of size. And so, but they're very disciplined they also know these COMEX-centric events, such as non-farm payrolls, FOMC, options expiry events. And while they're insensitive to price, they use this paper-induced volatility to load up official monetary gold reserves without driving the price higher. In other words, they're alchemizing dollar price paper gold into fully paid for physical 400-ounce bars flowing out of London, unrecorded, and that doesn't require reporting requirements, and a lot of it doesn't appear even in the customs data.
He's talking about China. So as I was saying, as the price has been going down, it's so they could buy. If you're using paper gold to set the physical gold price, which makes no sense at all, then when the price drops, like it did earlier in the week, to 31.30, it was so they could buy, which is exactly what I said, because it just smelled, but it seems to be stabilizing. And again, they're doing a lot of buying, so they want the lower price. And then once it hits, it's going to 4,500. So we will see 4,500 gold not too long, probably by August, because July 1st is the day when they go to Basel 3. Then they're at Tier 1, and then look out. So I don't know what this girl is talking about, that there is no Basel 3. I even did a comment, which I can show you, saying, what the hell are you talking about? The Basel 3 gold has been there since 2023. This is just in America, and it is coming. What are you talking about? So, again, you got to be careful who you listen to here. Listen at your own risk to these morons, okay? All right, back to Mark.
Once went through how there are something like 40-something custom brokers exchanges, and this shuffling gets deliberately lost. Also, when the generals buy, and generals control a very large amount of gold, of official gold.
I assume he's talking China.
None of that is recorded. That is military. That is what you would call secret. Now, I'm going to start to record a little section here to really explain things. So a quick look at the charts is probably the best way to illustrate this, but liquidity providers reported very large PBOC buying.
That's China.
And insurance-related spot gold demand had accrued at spot 3,300. And these very large orders got filled in large size into the Sunday spec-driven sell-off. But we've just evidenced even larger orders than that getting filled into the PM fix today. With spec long ignition largely used up, it's required naked short momentum short selling to provide the short cover for commercials exposed to an upcoming growing wall of T+1 delivery obligations to actually hedge into. Now, net of this past weekend's extreme tariff-driven volatility, it's also not going unnoticed that directly following the one-day Chinese May the 1st holiday, which is when we saw this dip here, we immediately reinstigated the Asia buys physical, West sells paper gold action, and that was back on the front burner. However, given the West selling is heavily leveraged versus Asian exchanges, actually actively arbitraging the synthetic EFP spread, liquidity providers assess that spot 3,200 is where bullion banks exposed to delivery obligations will be long against the momentum short sellers, and today's fix that came in just below that really is where that filling, where those orders started to get filled, and will have driven the next waiting layer of PBOC and institutional buying. Using silver as an example, it's pretty clear that short-term speculator-driven inverse correlation has developed between the risk markets here and gold and silver, but global liquidity providers report a higher physically supported stair-step is being established and is just being established today. And because central banks fill only at the fixes, bear in mind you need an auction to fill large size, so that will have actually been settled today and will require those positions to be delivered. And today marked the first gold fix sub 3,200 since the 10th of April. And the filling of these central bank bullion bids will be short-lived. The lows will be short-lived. Actually, this leads us nicely in.
So what he's saying is this 3130, 3160 that we're seeing will be short-lived. Don't worry about it. It's so they can buy physical cheap. So we understand the game, and nobody's selling an ounce of gold. They're just buying it. They're just trying to buy it cheap. So so don't worry about the price. It's done on purpose.
The second bullet point, which is COMEX is becoming a price taker. You'll look at the chart and you'll go, we're going down. Don't be fooled by today's short-term chart chatter. That's all it is. This is the last kick at the can ahead of Basel III US compliance at the end of this quarter. Now, Western gold investments are largely represented by highly leveraged COMEX futures-driven speculators seeking to track the price of gold, and to do so, they just have to invest really 4%. And this is a derivative position, which is where you just have 4% of skin in the game. And these are cash-settled investments. They're never designed to be delivered. And they're borrowed from the house market makers. Well, do you figure that's any dissimilar to the synthetically structured world of a casino? I mean, the market makers, the pit managers, loan out this fractionally backed gold, silver, open interest, the chips, as we've said, while taking the other side of these bullish or bearish speculator bets. If they're betting against the house, then the house is on one side. If they're betting against the house, whatever it is, the house is on the other side. Now, these chips, though, think about it. These chips are not exchangeable outside of the casino. So this is why we called it a siloed market, because everything that you're shuttered in, there is no windows, This is why it's so similar to a casino environment. Historically, this highly leveraged gold derivative structure that could be profitably managed in-house and return a standard 95% win for the house and just enough of a 5% win to keep the speculators trying their luck against the house. Now, this is what led the last 50 years of the gold derivative tail wagging the physical dog price. However, as we've been tracking following the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, reclassifying physical gold as a first-year asset class, the global gold price is increasingly being determined by competing BRICS-facing physical exchanges. Now, all the BRICS exchanges require that a gold bar has to be bought, titled to the buyer, and then fully paid for clearly before you can ever offer that for sale. And this is how a real supply-demand globally fungible gold kilowatt price is determined by somebody who really is willing to sell it for a price or buy it for a price. There's a balance there. Now, physical market liquidity actually has now migrated to Chinese-anchored BRICS-facing exchange. China anchors these exchanges. China has now become the physical dog wagging the COMEX tail, regularly alchemizing the globally underpriced synthetic price, utilizing the backdoor exchange for physical conduit. We talked about it multiple times. It is the way of getting, it's the Achilles heel, is the backdoor of the COMEX, where you can actually convert an otherwise undeliverable cash-settled COMEX price with only a 4% investment in it into a 100% paid for, physically settled T+1, meaning one-day delivery, NSFR compliant physical bar. Now, as we looked at really most recently, I think the last time, a rash of recent calls from technical traders. They're currently calling for the synthetic gold tail to keep wagging the physical dog, and they're having some success today. What they're doing is chasing moving averages, hunting out, are there any longs or shorts that they can garner at these? This is the house at play. Now, and obviously, while they're doing this, they are either disingenuously talking their own book, which would be officials, spinning the idea that gold should retrace to its historical moving averages and trend lines, which really many people follow. But these trend lines are anchored prior to the 1st of January 2023 Basel III, where it recategorized gold as a first-year asset class. So the old guard are on the wrong side of an increasingly liquid physical market. And they get little wins, and they're right in the middle, but wrong at both ends. But the open interest, as we've just looked at, is reducing into this process, giving them less and less and less bandwidth to be able to do this. Now, these naked short footprints contradict the strong upsurge of physically settled BRICS gold demand, and they're not going unnoticed. And while these momentums are...
So that's what we talk about a lot, is they're just running out of, he's calling them chips, of options. They don't make a lot with the options. They just see a high price and they short, and then when they stand for delivery, they're fucked. How are they gonna pay the gold? They got to buy gold, which is very, very limited right now. So this is what we talk a lot about: is the supply is shrinking. I don't believe there's that much physical gold left to buy. Yeah, they buy it, but there's just not enough, and it's just what you have. So as they've got to pay for the delivery, when people take delivery on these shorts, they're not going to be able to afford it. So this is drying up. Now, gold, we see the high price. We're waiting for this to happen in silver, and that's July 1st, which is why I say don't worry about buying silver. You've got till July 1st. It's not going anywhere now. You're going to have to wait till Basel III comes in, where they then go ahead and have to cover the people standing for delivery. And then they have to get the silver to pay them, and that's when the price zooms. So we got a little bit but July 1st. All right.
Hey, Andrew, we had a question here on the exchange for physical process, the EFPs, and how this will be affected into the July 1st Basel III U.S. compliance. Now, this question is coming directly from Lawrence. So let's hear from Lawrence.
This is so stupid.
Hi, Andrew. In July, we're going to see that the US is going to have to become Basel III compliant with regards to gold. So just wondering what effect or what's going to happen with regard to markets like the COMEX, even the LBMA, the casino chips, the OCC bet clearing. What's going to happen? We're going to see any movement in price.
We need to hear this whole commercial.
Expect the effects to be of this enforced compliance. Thank you.
Yeah, Lawrence, really good to bring this one up, actually. It ties in with one of the other bullet points I actually wanted to cover, which was repatriate before you revalue gold. I mean, that's distilling your question down to really what this boils down to. Due to the fact that the exchange for physical mechanisms has unmistakably exposed the COMEX Achilles heel, and this in turn is connected with the OCC bets you refer to, the Office of the Comptroller bets you actually refer to. I also get a lot of questions asking why the historically siloed COMEX exchange does not just slam shut this Achilles heel, this EFP backdoor, the ability to convert 96% leveraged gold bets into 100% deliverable gold. I mean, that is diluting and undermining the entire casino. Now, currently, the EFP mechanism is slowly and systematically letting air out of trillions of dollars of asymmetrically imbalanced Fed-centric bets against gold. They're largely constrained to how much of this open interest, the COMEX, can be offset, and the derivative markets can be offset against a shrinking supply of COMEX open interest. In other words, there's less and less chips in play. And this process is evident by the series of higher physically supported stair steps, forcing the Fed to repatriate gold and pay back these Bank of International settled bets at a series of higher prices. While this obvious exit of officially held naked short bets against gold requires an increasing amount of dollars to be sold against a rising gold price, it's handleable, albeit at a series of higher gold price stair steps as captured over the last 14 months of sequentially higher BIS squaring footprints. Ultimately, this official exchange of dollars for gold enables gold to be repatriated ahead of the necessary upcoming 1st of January Basel III compliance audit, which would be required for the US Treasury to exercise its GRA, its gold revaluation account, which is revaluing gold to market. It's far better to buy back leased swap gold at, say, $3,000 than gold at $4,500 or higher. However, though, to answer the question in more detail, this asymmetrically imbalanced EFP mechanism is directly connected to managing these the OCC structure, which you refer to. Now, if there was an attempt to slam shut the EFP backdoor, it would result in a force majeure, which would be trillions of interconnected COMEX, LBMA, and technically NSFR compliant, asymmetrically imbalanced FX gold, OCC derivative bets. They'd have to be marked to market instantly, overnight. This is not viable, as it would expose the entire daisy chain of too big to fail taxpayer-insured banks to losses far in excess of what could be bailed out into a bid-only global market. We saw a sample of that at COVID, in the COVID market, when the physical market, when the liquidity providers turned on for physical delivery and they didn't have it. And as we know, every single market-making CME and LBMA facing bullion bank has a straddle footprint in both the NSFR compliant physically deliverable 10 times larger foreign exchange markets and the as yet non-NSFR compliant CME markets, which gives them a tremendous advantage. We actually kind of did something about that, explained that last time. Now, our well-connected liquidity providers affirm that the current US-centric haircut that separates gold futures, exchange-traded fund gold from NSFR-compliant gold will have to end on the 1st of July. If it doesn't match the 10 times larger spot gold foreign exchange market price at the benchmark global fixes, then the backdoor EFPs, where it's possible to convert this non-compliant COMEX lot into NSFR-compliant T+1 deliverable FX positions, it's going to be drained, alchemizing what little dwindling underpriced COMEX open interest remains. And given the OCC bets are on the Fed's balance sheet and are likely interconnected with rehypothecated US Treasury gold positions, it's better to continue to let the air out slowly and repay it before you revalue.
Hey, Andrew, with that being said, how do you see it progressing moving forward here?
Yeah, as we've touched on, into thinning out COMEX open interest, forcing the COMEX to become a price taker, the non-SWIFT BRICS-centric de-dollarizing process, it moves to the next stage, and by no coincidence, it jives with 1st of July Basel III compliance date. And as we've looked at in more detail just 2 weeks ago, China's anchored BRICS payment chains are rapidly onshoring, providing sufficient liquidity to also digitize. We talked about Glasnev's fully beta-tested, revamped mBridge, we're talking about mBridge here, which is the formalized version of that. And that's the BRICS-facing 40% backed gold currency. So it's been beta-tested by Russia. It's been tested by mBridge. It was hauled back in because of sanctions, but it's on the front burner again. And so due to Russian sanctions, mBridge was actually put on the back burner last year. But the surge of global tariffs equal global sanctions galore. And this puts it back on the front burner. Now, our Asian liquidity providers figure the onshoring of a growing suite of BRICS payment chains will ultimately result in a global physically settled, not T+1, T+0 instant gold price will be quoted and settlement quoted in RMB. If you have gold in the vault and you're shoveling it from across the floor from one vault to the other and they're all fully paper bars, T+0 is possible. Not going to be shipped anywhere. It's in the vault already. Bear in mind, you're talking about gold that exists. And to facilitate this, Beijing is rapidly expanding its international facing Shanghai Gold Exchange, opening up Hong Kong as the first of several Western-facing Chinese gold warehouses. And this is going to force the local London AM and PM dollar gold fix to quote these prices as well. We mentioned that last time, but this is really coming on the front burner now. It's progressing seriously. And these SGE international facing vaults are not just 100% Basel III NSFR compliant, but as every bullion bar is fully paid for, assigned and sourced out of physical stock. That is no reason, as I say, it can't be settled T+0 on the spot. And that would set a much higher standard, and it actually means de-dollarization in a big way. There's no friction there. And re-establishing foreign exchange gold, which is supposed to be NSFR compliant, as the benchmark that values every other fiat currency, and that complies with Basel III NSFR standards. Now, over the last 2 weeks, alongside loosening import quotas to meet an upsurge of strong Chinese demand, Beijing has announced its intention to open up several international gold hubs, securing its global-facing pricing influence. And while it's so far just Hong Kong has been announced, there are more coming. Now, to answer a specific question from a subscriber, Mitchell Lambert.
This is Mitchell Langbird. I
Nobody
have a
cares.
question about some news I just heard. The Chinese are opening a vault in Saudi Arabia to store gold to allow them to buy oil. Is this true? What are the details? And is this the first of vaults in a variety of countries? Also, what is the implication for the gold demand?
Yes, this includes establishing a vault in Saudi Arabia. But our feedback also points to expanding China gold and silver vault network into Brazil, into Mexico, and Colombia. And that's just to name the few that we're getting rumor on, and credible rumor on. And this formalizes what China and Russia have been doing for years already, is providing oil producers the ability to convert a 7-second digital RMB settlement position into gold, into and out of gold. Now, all of sanction proof. All of these moves are part of a strategic plan for China to stick handle BRICS nations to become the global benchmark price setters for all commodities, revealing the PBOC has taken its kid gloves off and, along with Russia, are now in a position to consolidate these BRICS-centric markets. All of the pieces of the multipolar, multinodal puzzle are concatenating ahead of the confluence of the July 1st Basel III compliance and the BRICS July Rio Summit, which is seeking to overcome the threat of, at one point, 150% tariffs on BRICS members who dare to trade outside the dollar. And I've even heard talking about $500% tariffs on the secondary on a secondary Russia gold sanction. If they don't come to the table. So then they may come to the table, they may not. But this is the risks out there, so that anyone touching Russian gold could be sanctioned 500% if they want to sell anything to the US. So clearly these things are in play. And the BRICS members have already been threatened with 150%. Now, the digital RMP BRICS payment bridge, it's not only multinodal, multipolar, global payment tool, it's also a technical carrier of the Belt and Road strategy, fits in perfectly, and enables the build out of the digital Silk Road, but it also provides access to the Northern Sea route. And this kind of leads us nicely to the next bullet point. The PBOC has guaranteed, and this is important, if you remember, we've done episodes about this over the last 2 to 3 years, where the PBOC has guaranteed on several occasions that gold investments will appreciate due solely to price appreciation. Now, that's a major statement to make. And obviously that requires your fingers in the pie. And since a major push by Beijing to encourage citizens to buy gold in 2010, and gold price appreciation statements and actions have been regularly affirmed at every strategic fresh initiative to further open up gold markets to citizens and businesses. And while there were periods when the yuan price exceeded well over $100 an ounce above the COMEX-derived price, these Western paper supply-demand imbalances were simply arbitraged as cheaper Western gold was drained into China to meet the real physical demand price.
So, in other words, if COMEX says 3150, but the real price in China is like 3,300. So, of course, they're going to buy COMEX, which is what's happening. And they don't care that the price drops because it's just cheaper gold. They're just buying the gold as much as they can. All this other with the warehouses in these other countries, Brazil and Saudi Arabia, they're going to buy oil with gold, which should jack the oil price up. And I don't know what Trump's thinking we're going to be bankrupt because nobody's going to sell us anything because anybody that produces is going to be in bricks. So we won't be able to get goods because Trump's an idiot. Well, okay. That's why we buy gold. So that'll be the only way. But who's going to sell us the goods? So we'll be able to get stuff made in America that'll be here, but anything outside, you're not going to be able to get unless it's coming from like Canada or England. But even then, they're tariffing it. So all your costs are going up because of these idiots. Not a good sign. And okay, a little bit more.
And that ended up dragging the COMEX price higher. And it's so much of that has been missed along the way because people look at the dip and they don't realize that the steady recovery is actually a physical draining of this open interest. And this was of particular note when the PBOC encouraged this very small, less wealthy citizens to open up millions of very small gold accounts. I mean, we were talking about maybe a gram or less, enabling them to swap their, to literally with a click of a mouse to purchase gold. And with that, they essentially guaranteed to underpin a steadily rising gold price. Now, in opening up the Shanghai Futures Exchange to citizens and businesses 14 months ago, on the 1st of March 2024, that was a strategic move designed to raise the value of Beijing's vast gold reserves. The Shanghai Futures Exchange launch was grossly underestimated by the West. And remember, we showed chart after chart after chart of this, and the steady price rise since then. It was grossly, if you remember at the launch time, it was grossly underestimated by the West, who relying on, again, historical dollar bond and trend line correlations, they were caught wrong-footed, big time. They were waiting for a historical pullback that never came back. Subsequently, gold has risen as much as $1,500 an ounce from that moment. And right now, by no coincidence, just over 1 year later, in the early stages of the second quarter of 2025, we're witnessing another similarly officially sanctioned, commercially targeted gold buying mandate being sprung on the West. And it's actually, while the bullion banks have woken up to this, very, very few people, and certainly not the people playing games today in the paper markets, are aware of the physical side, impact of this. This time, this gold buying mandate is being driven by a directive for Chinese insurance companies to invest 1%. Now think about this, 1% of a 32 trillion of assets into physical gold. And 32 trillion is just the 2003 figure. And I don't want to guess at what it is now, but it's probably more than 32 trillion. So 1% of that, think about that. The opening of the Shanghai Futures Exchange to these insurance companies, and it only happened on the 25th of March, 1 year later, 1 year and 3 weeks later than opening up to citizens. It requires in these insurance companies to swap. How are they going to buy gold? Swap US treasuries for gold. And it's only just commenced.
So again, it's more demand for gold. The more demand for gold, the higher the price. COMEX can try to hold it, but it's slipping away. July 1st doesn't allow them to hold it anymore. And the demand is huge for gold. So the demand keeps growing. Russia about to do theirs, and then all the BRICS countries, now there's 40 of them buying gold, because that's what they're going to trade in. You're now putting vaults in where you're going to buy oil with gold. So it's going to be hard for us to buy oil because they don't want our dollars when they can get gold from China. So there's a lot to swallow here, but it just shows you the more, forget the COMEX bullshit going on now. The more you just got to get more gold. I mean, to answer, but this is good when it goes Basel 3 July 1st, then you're going to see silver zoom like gold's doing. So you have an opportunity with silver, but it ain't going to happen until July 1st. So don't get frustrated. Just be patient. Silver's 32, 33, but July 1st, Katie bar the door. Then you'll really see it fly. So you just got to know July 1st is that, because Basel 3 to the rescue. So that's when I watched the other video and she says there won't be Basel 3. I'm like, but then here's Mark saying, yeah, Basel 3, July 1st. And you're looking, what's the girl talking about? So I'll get to that. I'm not going to show it. I'm just going to show my comment. All right.
And it's what drove Goldman's 4,500 2025 target. And so and if you think about it, that's about 3,000 tons of unfactored fresh demand at current prices. And that's just with 1%. And the word is.
So gold 4,500 is the new target.
It will be increased. Now, that's an entire 1% is 1 year of entire global mine production. And while liquidity providers expect maybe a third of this to be bought and paid for by the end of the fourth quarter of this year, that still telegraphs 4,500 gold price. So in summary, really, China's central bank now dominates the physical gold market, enabling gold price appreciation support to actually continue.
Hey, Andrew, what are you seeing in silver these days here?
Yeah, I understand we had a great question from Lawrence. Can you play that?
Hi, Andrew. You mentioned that the price of gold is less and less influenced as time goes by the COMEX and their shenanigans. But silver's a much smaller market. It's still got massive short positions at the COMEX by the big 8 banks. Can you go into a little bit of detail about the current registered and eligible amounts of silver held at COMEX? And how easy is it still for these big players to smash down the price of silver in their rinse cycles? And, given the amounts outstanding at COMEX, how far realistically lower could you see them take the price? Many thanks.
Oh, that's great then, Lawrence. While I do track, this is a specific question, but there's a lot involved in your question. But while I do track the dwindling volume of registered and eligible COMEX data, I don't trust these cobbled together reports at face value. I don't take them at face value. And they pale in comparison to the much larger, massively imbalanced naked short OCC delivery, silver FX bets, the Office of the Comptroller bets that are listed on the quarterly report and are evident. Now, silver is still acting in the same manner as gold did before it became Basel III NSFR compliant. Now, this is to understand what's going on with silver. Before gold became NSFR compliant, it would trade unallocated gold positions, which is kind of like silver now, which could be leveraged hundreds to one times to one at levels that made it actually impossible to deliver upon because it wasn't NSFR compliant. So real physical orders that came in from physical buyers outside the cartel's ring fence, to think about it, 600 to 800 tons were daily settled, cash settled, amongst the bullion bank books without any physical, very little of that physical ever reaching a physical process. And so they would command massive premiums. If you wanted that physical, massive premiums over the spot price. Now, orders over 100,000 ounces commanded premiums of tens of dollars. And in fact, up to $100 higher than spot per ounce. And as we've highlighted in multiple episodes, the moment gold became Basel III compliant, these liquidity providers must have the bullion to deliver. So we know that the bullion banks are long both gold and silver for their own books. So while they can asymmetrically leverage these physical positions that you can see by the eight large banks you refer to, the COMEX net short banks, they actually don't want to be don't want to actually unload or deliver any of this bullion. And with Indian and Chinese physical exchanges sucking up this tail wagging the dog cheap silver supply, we can deduce the naked short element of these bets are sitting on the books of the Fed. There's no compliance officer that in any of the too big to fail bullion banks that would allow a naked short position of that size. These are the positions listed in the OCC report. A lot of this synthetic action is buried in the gold-silver ratio trade, which is currently being unwound from its 120 to 1 all the way up here at, which was the 2020 highs, with the objective of trying to exit this underwater trade as best as possible. Now, currently using gold strength, this has actually now been cut to around plus or minus 98 to 1, which is still exorbitantly high. Now, while silver has been influenced by momentum short sellers crossing over from gold futures, assisted by the related large offside office of the comptroller bets that were the official crosshairs being marked to market into the April month low here, and then again into the May 1st month end low, it's aggressively being bought into the dips into spot 32, which is where Indian and Chinese buyers are very, very active. Most liquidity providers see silver sub $38 as far too cheap and unsustainable at current levels. Well, thanks for the questions, everyone. Look, please keep them coming in. I'll try and get to more of them next time, but as Shane says, we'll probably compile them, we'll sit down, and we'll see really what is the top question of the week. In the meantime, though, there is only one question. That is, how much physical gold do you?
Not enough. I'm not sure he really answered the silver, except for when it comes Basel 3, they will have to hold it and the price will go up. I'm not sure what the $38 was, but anyway, silver should be jumping. But again, we have to wait until
this is the pink salt recipe.
We have to wait until Basel 3, so July 1st. Let me see if I can find that girls video. I don't think I liked it. Here's one that's of interest. Nissan fires 20,000 workers. So again, we're in here, this is the one here. Gold rejected by banks. You've been
for a while now, the gold world has been.
Fuck off. So Nissan is laying off the 20,000. So she's saying in her things that Basel 3 isn't going to happen. And here's my comment. Gold and silver will be Basel 3 July 1st in USA. Not sure what you're talking about. You're wrong. Gold is already Basel 3 since 2023. So in here, she's stating there won't be Basel 3, that it was misled. The truth of you've been misled. She's full of shit. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but that's all that's what I said to her. Like, stop misleading everybody. Why the fuck are you saying these stupid things? Because it's really a problem when you say that. and you're lying or you're not being truthful. I don't know. This Victor Davis Hanson, he's sounding more and more stupid. He's saying, "Oh well, he said? No, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act didn't cause the depression." What are you? Well, no, because he thinks the depression is the stock market going down. He says that came in after the stock market. That's why they did the tariff, was to reset things because the stock market had went down. It did cause the depression. And then the other Douglas McGregor saying, "Oh, you're hoarding gold." Again, somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about loses credibility with moi. So I hope you like my new thing. And then this was, so I'm monkeying around with what to show on my channel, just freshening it up. Let's go to gold. Let's see what it's doing now. Gold price is 1048. There we go. 31.90. At least it's coming up. It closes at 5:15 today, so 31.90. Silver, you can see, doesn't do shit. 32.23. Be patient. That will have a zero after it soon. 31.90. At least we've seen they're monkeying around, but they're trying to buy it cheap, and that's what they're doing. We can take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's 104,036. But let's take a look at another one, right? Let's see. Let's look at Tether. What's Tether at? Tether's at $1. Huh, wait a minute. Tether's at $1 and Bitcoin's at 104,000. That makes perfect sense to me. What a joke. All right. Let's look at the stock market. Again, these are all manipulated bullshit numbers that are meaningless. Stock market's at 42,560, up 237. Who is buying stock? And are you just this stupid you don't understand anything about tariffs? Tariffs raise the cost to the producer, which means if they're going to sell it to you, they want more or they don't sell. And why would you buy stock? What do you think the earnings are going to look like if it costs more to buy? You either go out of business or you try to raise prices to us and we say, fuck you, we're not gonna pay you more. So what part of that is the stock? Well, what stock is going to go up? I don't know. Pretty stupid people, but they're all manipulated. You go to your financial planner, and the financial planner, what does he say? He says, "Oh, well, you got to be in the market. Why would you be in gold or silver?" So people with brains are in gold and silver because they can't print them. It's very easy, as I say every day. You can't print it. It can't lose its value. It only goes up. That's why. So even when you see these derivatives on Comex, they're not real. They're paper prices, not physical. Nobody is selling an ounce of physical. That's the bottom line. So if they do in Saudi Arabia and they buy oil, they're buying something. Does not hurt the value. It's just something being bought. There is no more gold that you can just produce. You cannot just make it. So this is what you have. I think that's it. 2.5. So again, Prophet, are you getting this heat wave in Detroit? It's 90 here. I'm not sure. I'm not used to this yet. I don't know. I haven't been outside yet. Normally, I watch Mark McGuire, then I'm doing this, and I'll have lunch, and then I will go out about 3 o'clock to go to the gym and swim and ride the bike, look at the market, and then I got to stop at the grocery store. I need some more pita bread, and I got to get ginger. My ginger got fuzzy on me. I had it all cut up and I put it in this container. But when I open the container to pull one out, I guess the air gets in it. So I had 5 or 6 nice ginger that I had cut and shaved, and they all got fuzzy. So I had to throw them out. So I need to buy a new ginger. And then I guess I need to figure out how to store the ginger after you shave it. Maybe I just need to cut a little and then shave it, use it, and then cut some more as I go. And normally I put it in my water in my coffee teacup, but I've run out, so I got to get more ginger. That's crucial. The ginger and the pita bread. Those are the must-haves. I did get my avocados. They didn't have dark chocolate at Walmart yesterday. 80 or 95. I had to get 72. And I think it's too much sugar. I think the 80 is supposed to be the point. So I got the 72 as a one-timer, but really that's the best place to get it is at Walmart. So I might try another Walmart to see, because that leaves me with the sweet tooth. Then I want to have ice cream or cookies, because the dark chocolate gives you the sweet tooth. Anyway, Daria's getting that operation, supposed to be next week. She went to the doctor yesterday. That's why I don't hear for a few days. She gets nervous about the operation. I'm trying to pin a date when we meet. I says, well, I don't think she wanted to wait for the peace. And I said, well, it doesn't look like the peace talks are going to be soon. And how long are we going to wait for peace talks? 10 years. So I said, why don't we meet? Why don't we June, July? So I'm waiting for her response there. I'm talking to Jenna again because I wished her happy birthday. Now we text back and forth. And that's the thing. Jenna will talk to me every day. Daria, I lose a few days, but she's pretty healthy. She's like I said, there's a sore either here on her jaw, on her cheek, and they're going to remove it. It's supposed to be a easy operation. She's a little worried. I said, just think about when you get it, then you'll be done with it and you won't have to worry about it. And then we can meet, think about our meeting. So I don't know. She does say I want to meet and we want to be together. But again, it's, is it real or fantasy? I don't know. She says she wanted to be with an American, and I'm an American, but I hope it's not just because I'm an American and not because she really, loves me. So we'll see. Putin didn't even show up for the peace meeting. There was no peace meeting. This is just talks, right? Putin's going to show up when you want me to sign. Okay, we're going to have peace. All right, I'm going to come and I'll sign off. And Trump would have done the same thing. But they're not at that stage yet. They're just trying to negotiate. Zelensky's out of his mind. He wants Putin to give back the land he got in Constanza and, or not Constanza, Crimea and Donetsk and Kharkov, to give the land back. Why would I give the land back? That's like saying, well, Hitler, we're going to sign a peace treaty, but you got to give back Czechoslovakia and France. And, that's never going to happen. So we will see what to do. But it's really Zelensky holding up the peace. Daria's nephew or Jenna's nephew got killed. I don't know if it was in the war. I didn't really want to ask her, but probably due to the war in the Ukraine. And she said his body was cremated. I feel bad for her. But again, this is what Zelensky's doing. Her brother died in the war. Now her nephew died in the war. I'm worried about her own kids, like keep them safe, because she's got like a 17-year-old who they'll scoop up. And I got to be careful. because it's like the SS in the Ukraine where they kind of kidnap the kids to have them fight. And Zelensky, I guess, is making money on it, so he's out of his mind. But he won't. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want peace because then he'll be thrown out of power. So he enjoys the power, I guess. Some real strange. He reminds me of Hitler in the way he doesn't care about his own people. At the end, it was like, well, you guys are fighting now, and they're all getting killed. So I don't know. But anyway, that's what's going on with her, and so the plan's to meet Daria in the summer, hopefully. But I got to get the okay, and if I don't, then I'll meet. I don't know if I'll meet Jenna or somebody else in the summer. Maybe go to Amsterdam or something. I'm going to Vegas. Vegas is ridiculous. And then I told you about Vegas. So Vegas is about selling the BlackRock and Vanguard and these investment banks who now own the property, that they own because the building and the land, and they're charging them rent. I don't understand. I guess maybe they needed money from COVID. So now they keep raising the rent. And so, like idiots, instead of trying to draw people in and let them lose gambling, which is what they should be doing because they're fucking casinos, they're raising the resort fee and charging for parking and raising the gambling so nobody gambles. These are people that are just fucking idiots. They don't understand what the market is. So these would be guys at the barbecue restaurant where I tell you, you can't go more than $30 on the ribs, and they're 45, and there's no. That's what Vegas is right now. They raise the rates up to here for the parking and the hotel and the resort fee and the gambling, and everybody's there. It's going to be a ghost town soon. Some people go, but a lot of people from California would go, but now they can't. They're going broke. They drive, then they're going to pay $40. You're going to pay $40 for parking on the weekend at Caesars with a very high room rate and a resort fee. So I just don't see that happening. So if I go, I'm going to Amsterdam, but hopefully I'll meet Daria. That would be the plan. We can go to Georgia. There's a Georgia next to Russia, which should be good for her because it's more Russian speaking, and I don't worry about any of that. I've been to Moscow. I don't, everybody's the same. They're just speak different languages, but there's nice people and there's evil people, basically. And that could be in Detroit. It can be in Russia. And I've been in Russia. Nobody bothered me. I had no problems. So that's the thing. I kind of don't mind, but the goal is to visit her. It should be easy to get a seat at the $25 blackjack table now in Vegas. Yeah, but I don't want to play $25 blackjacks. And yes, it'll be easy to gamble there. But again, where are you going to stay? I like to stay at the Tuscany because I'd rather spend $50 a night and then walk to Caesars. It's a 5-minute walk, and then go play at the Venetian. And they got a pool at the Tuscany is fine. I've been at the pool at Caesars. All right. So it's really not, but even that with the resort fee is expensive. So you're going to have a lot of hotels with nobody in them. That means they don't gamble, they don't eat, which means you're fucked. And and they keep raising the rent. Like Vanguard keeps raising the rent on Caesars. So they keep raising their prices. And they don't understand the first thing about economics. You can't do that. If it's like raising taxes. So if you want to cover your rent increases, why would you sell your land and your hotel? Those are your major assets to them. Then what did you do with all that money? And then what are you doing making sure nobody comes because you're charging $40 for parking and you're charging $150 to sit and watch football games? What are you doing? What, you out of your mind? That really hurts me because it's hard for me to go and sell Teaserking there. I used to I used to just get a chair and there'd be a bunch of people and we'd be screaming and touchdown here and touchdown there. And then I'd give the card, and I said, well, this is who I bet today. And I gave it away. People would bet, they'd win, and then you'd get some contacts. But now you're keeping everybody. So all you do when you increase price to the people is you get everybody away. Nobody wants to play with you. That's not a real smart way to go. Again, you have to understand your market, and you can't just raise prices as if the market won't care. The market will care, especially for going to Vegas. I can go downtown Detroit, but I'd rather go to Vegas, but it just doesn't matter. How much is Motel 6 now? I have no idea. If they're even they used to have a Motel 6 when I'd go in the 70s and 80s, but I turned 20 in 1980. I turned 21. So they probably had a Holiday Inn and a Motel 6, but not now. I doubt they have any of that shit. That's why I stay at the Tuscany. It's an off the strip, 3-star, but it's nice suites, nice rooms. They have a coffee shop, so you can get, you can eat breakfast and dinner anytime you want. So it's a real nice. It's a nice little, but it's not Caesar's, but that's okay. I don't want to pay all the huge resort fees, but now they're starting to charge resort fees. It's like, what the fuck? So I think it's cheaper to go to Amsterdam and than it is to go to Vegas. Oh, it was $6. That's why it was Motel 6 initially. I keep watching these things on. I keep watching these things here. This is teen life in the 70s and 80s.
Everyone is doing this to get rid of pain, tingling, and numbness in their feet and hands. Serious.
So they have this. And this is me growing up, and it's really cool.
Step back into the iconic 70s and 80s and relive the golden era of youth. From the thrill of cruising in muscle cars to hanging out at the roller rink, these rare photos showcase the true essence of what it was like to be a teen.
Yeah, I like the
before
girls
the
with
digital
the shorts
age.
and that.
Fashion, music, and pure fun. Get ready for a trip down memory lane.
I don't know. The girls were a lot prettier back then than they are now. That looks like Tom Cruise, doesn't it? The cars were better, the girls were better, and the prices at the restaurants were better. Anyway, they show restaurants and they're like McDonald's, a hamburger 59 cents, fries 29 cents. This is like the mid 70s, late 70s. But I think what's ruined everything is the cell phone and because they're talking with their friends and then they go to the restaurant, right? You go to a Big Boys or a Ponderosa or these little sit down Pizza Hut and stuff like that. And so you'd be with people and you'd go with your friend and you'd talk and you got to know people. And now everything's on the phone. Now, one of the benefits is I can talk to Jenna and Daria in Russia and in the Ukraine on these texts, which does lose a little bit of talking to them versus texting them. But I couldn't have done that in the 70s and 80s. But you would go out, you didn't have a cell phone, and you'd meet your friends, and then we would go get barbecue or go get McDonald's or Big Boys or something. And that's what the cell phone now, you don't go out. And this is us in the 70s and 80s. This is us bullshitting now, talking gold, talking football. This is what they would do in the 70s and 80s, but they'd get together. And this is the big difference. And this is where the cell phone really hurts us, and the computer. You're on there and you're meeting people, you don't know who you are, and they're just doing, like now we go out, it's go to Coney or maybe go to barbecue or something. There is some Chinese you can go to. Pizza places are mostly carry out. Chinese mostly carry out. The Chinese I go to is a carry out. I hate it. I'd like to go and sit down and relax for an hour eating lunch. I don't want to drive a half hour, pick it up, and then drive home and then eat it in my house. So I don't like that. But that's where the cell phones have really, now you're cell phoning, and with the computer, you're on the computer. You're not going out with your friends as much as what you would have done in the 70s and 80s. So I think you missed that whole atmosphere, going out with your friends, even going to a ball game was affordable. Now nothing's affordable. I heard that going to a Lions game, it's $300 a ticket. It's probably end zone. So one guy said, well, I can pay my mortgage cheaper than taking my family of 4 to a Lions game. What are the Lions doing? That's because Ford Motors losing their ass. The Lions are winning, so now they're like going, oh, well, we'll charge $300 a ticket. That's just for the ticket. Parking, God knows what that is, and the food, God knows what that is. I wouldn't go to a Lions game. They'd have to pay me. They'd have to give me free tickets. I could park at the MGM and walk 10 minutes to the game. And I would eat at MGM. I mean, it's just insanity. It really is. Even MGM, it's they don't have the buffet anymore. I used to go to the buffet Friday night and then play poker. I can't even do that. They don't even have them anymore. They have kind of expensive little hamburger and hot dog places like at Caesars, and they're out of their mind. So there's really nothing to eat. Or there's like a Starbucks. Yeah, I can get a $5 bagel. Oh yeah, that sounds good. So I think that's where technology is hurting people, is you're missing this whole culture of, again, people together and just relaxing, and you just don't have that. And the girls in the shorts and bell bottoms. So here, shopping at Kroger's. We still do the shopping. I'm waiting for one where they have like a restaurant and they show the price. Ice cream shop. Now we maybe go to Dairy Queen. I don't remember anything like this at high school.
This is the pink salt recipe that took me from 179
Seriously?
to 126 in just weeks.
There you go, the Vegas Strip. Does it look anything like this now? The Frontier is gone, the Stardust is gone, the DI is gone, the Riviera is gone, Silver City Casino. This is what I miss. This is why I get sad looking at Vegas now. I mean, this is terrible. This is what I love: the colors, the signs, and yet you don't have that anymore. The public pool. Well, I do go to the pool. I go to the rec center. Everybody seems so healthy in these. There you go, McDonald's in the 1980s. And it was a lot cheaper. There you go, on the beach and stuff. The nice cars and everything. Anyway, it was such a nicer time back then. I remember growing up. I graduated in '77, I believe. The football was better, but you'd go, you'd play softball, golf. You just had more fun back then. Yeah, I believe it was. That's why it was Motel 6. Initially, it was $6, but then $6 was good. Vegas is so much better when the mob ran it for sure. It was just more fun to go to. It was cheap. So the mentality was, I can stay in a nice hotel for Caesar's Palace for $30 a night. None of this bullshit resort fee. You could eat at the coffee shops, which they got rid of. So that's what I don't understand. They got rid of the coffee shops. The buffet at Caesar's is $60. I remember eating it for $19 on a Sunday night. I could watch the football and get the nice big Chinese spare ribs that tasted incredible, and other salads and chickens and stuff. $19.99, which wasn't bad. Watching the football from the sports book, and the rooms were very affordable. Like you'd go Sunday to Thursday. And I would every day I would walk to the DI, the Desert Inn, and I'd make football bets or baseball bets whenever I was there. And then I'd go the next day to cash in and make some more bets. And they used the magic marker to write San Francisco, Detroit, and the line and everything else. And then I'd walk. I'd walk to the DI. You didn't have the Wynn or the Venetian or the Bellagio. You had the Mirage was there, so I'd go to the Mirage. But it was just nice and peaceful. There wasn't a lot of on a Tuesday night. It'd be you and 5 people there. It was perfect for me. I like the peace and quiet. That's why I don't like the weekends. They're very expensive and they're very crowded, and I really don't like that. The movie Casino does a very good job of showing the transformation of Vegas. Yeah, the corporations, they don't get it. I mean, the mob got it. Keep it cheap will beat you gambling. And that's because they would get $1,000 from you losing at blackjack because they know you're going to lose at blackjack. Now it's, well, if he's too good of a bettor, he's a winner, we don't want him, as I showed you yesterday. And then everything's expensive. Well, the food's expensive. A Gordon Ramsay. I don't want a Gordon Ramsay. I want a fucking hamburger. The room itself is very expensive. So you keep me away. The meals are very expensive. So I go across to the CVS to eat. What are you doing? You don't want me to leave. Before you would never leave. You would come in and you would never leave. Now you can't stay. I told you the Thanksgiving story, Michigan, Ohio State weekend. I'd go, and it was Friday night, and I'm playing poker, and I get hungry because I'm on the other time zone, and it's 10 o'clock, and I want to eat. There's not a restaurant open. The food court's closed. The restaurant, the mall's closed. This is Vegas. It's 24 hours. That's what you're talking about, Prophet. That's what it was back then. It was 24 hours. Now it's like a joke. Now it closes at 8 o'clock. Well, what are you doing? You're not supposed to close it. This is Vegas. And the people running it don't have any idea of that it's Vegas and that it's different. It's unique. You want the signs. I was watching The Gambler again last night. I just watched the Vegas scene, and the Stardust is blue, and then the whole thing lights up, and it's so cool. And it just is ridiculous. But when I watch it, it's like, yeah, I really miss that. I missed going there with the colors and the numbers because I like numbers, obviously. So it would be play blackjack and play some craps and play some poker and bet on sports, and you'd spend the day there. And now it's just ridiculous. What the hell are you doing? I don't even know how to go there anymore. Because between paying for the hotel and then paying the resort fee and paying the taxes, I won't pay for parking because I don't have a car. I just, like I say, I go from the Tuscany to Caesars, hang out there a little bit. Then I go to the Venetian and hang out there. I'm not there to swim. I am there to eat. The Venetian's got a decent restaurant you can eat at. But then otherwise it's gourmet. I don't need gourmet. I mean, what is gourmet, right? So I'm not going to pay $200 to eat a hamburger. So sorry, boys. So you end up going to CVS, which you can get a yogurt, you can get sandwiches and chips and some pop and juice and fruit. You can get honeydew or stuff. All of a sudden, CVS is the big restaurant. So I don't know what they're doing. They're driving away their customers. Well, you got to pay because of COVID. No, we don't have to pay. You have to pay. But if you had a brain in your head, you would not. If the market's here and you're up here, you're not going to sell anything. So eventually, that's why I said they're all going bankrupt, because Vanguard keeps raising rent for some reason. You sold it to them for some reason. Shows how stupid you are. But Vanguard is charging you rent of your own building, which you can't pay. So you think raising prices will help you pay it? It's not. It's going to do the opposite. You'll be broke. Now, I don't know what Vanguard's going to do with casinos. They don't know how to run casinos. It's like BlackRock. It's like Larry Fink. You think he knows how to run a casino? You think he's got all these houses. You think that's expensive. That's not. If you don't sell the house, that's not good. And one thing about the housing market, why it's so expensive, people don't understand. So what they're doing with investments, we buy gold and silver. They're buying houses to make money on. So they buy 5 houses, but they won't sell them to take a loss. So as the price goes up, they're going to lose their ass, because they're not going to. I don't know if they're buying them as investments, meaning are you renting them out or are you trying to sell them? You're not going to sell them, and I don't know who you're going to rent them out to. So these people making those investments are all going to go broke, like the the big kill or whatever it's called. Anyway, yeah, watch the movie The Gambler with James Caan. You'll see 5 minutes of Vegas. He plays blackjack and craps and baccarat. He's the worst gambler I've ever seen. He loses 44 grand. Then he hits four hands in a row in baccarat and he leaves. Then he doubles down on 18, which I'm not sure why he doubled down. He could have just taken a hit. So he doubles down 18 and gets a 3 and gets 21. And then he walks away. You're like, dude, where are you going? That's what you live for, to get a streak like that, and you're leaving? Okay, I know quitting a winner, but quitting a winner means if I'm on a hot streak, I keep going until it starts cooling down. Now I lost a few in a row. Okay, now I can leave. If I just hit 4 in a row at backrack, I'm sitting there until I start losing. What a fucking idiot. So again, he was the gambler, but not the good gambler. Anyway, I think that's it. 3 hours is good. So anyway, I do like these. These are called Yesterday in America. There's a lot of them out there. It shows restaurants that are no longer there. Hardee's and Burger King in the 1970s and McDonald's in the 70s and pizza places. A lot of Ponderosa and Bonanza, things that we like, they're no longer there. And so this is where I want to go eat. And you're like, you're fucked. There's where am I going to go? Coney Island? Or all they got are these sports bars that are very expensive. So you can watch the sports, but they're, that's not what I want. I just want the regular. If I go to Big Boys, it's like the burger's $11. And then if you want salad, it's like, ends up being like $17, $18 for like the salad bar and the Big Boy, which should cost me 10. The burger shouldn't cost more than 5. I can go to the grocery store and yesterday I was there, like $5.50, and you can get a pound of hamburger. So I could get 3 pounds of hamburger for roughly $17. You're charging me 10, not even for a pound. It's probably a quarter pound. So I could eat, I can eat 10 hamburgers for the $17 you're charging me. So again, but then you're at home. Maybe you take it to the beach. When I go walk the lake, I can eat there, but who knows? But anyway, so it's barbecue or it's Coney Island, I guess, for me. It's crazy. Chinese, it's a carryout. The other Chinese I'm just scared of because they're so. I think there's a Chinese buffet, but it's so bad. You eat chicken and let me know when I get to the chicken part. You're just eating the fat or the skin or whatever, but there's no meat in it. So I used to like going to those, but now it's terrible. Pizza you get once in a while, but that's just a variety. So this was a much better time, the 70s and 80s, especially without the cell phone. The cell phone has created just a mess. People are all screwed up, I think, because of it. And I think you need that social interaction where you get together with your friends, but now you're not doing that. You maybe go to the bars, but you're not like, oh, let's go to the lake or let's go to the pool. I don't think you do that as much. I think you're home with all the movies and all the cable and all the the Tubi and the Pluto and the Netflix, and then you probably aren't going to the park and playing baseball and going to Ponderosa and having a nice dinner. I don't think you're doing that anymore. There was a lot of steakhouses in the 70s and 80s that they show you that, I miss those. Where the fuck am I eating? So if I do eat out tonight, I'm going to where? I'm going to, Coney Island. Like, what the fuck? So I don't know. I'll probably go to barbecue. Memorial Day is next Sunday, right? Not this Sunday. Chinese is closed tomorrow. She's for Memorial Day, 17th to the 26th. But I think it's the last Monday of the month. Usually is Memorial Day, so I think it's the next week, not this Sunday or Monday, the following. Looking at the PGA, I'm looking at the leaderboard going, who are these guys? So, and again, they're on ESPN. I don't get it, so I can't watch it. They're keeping you away from watching stuff by putting it on these Prime or Paramount or Apple or whatever. I mean, it's just stupid. Oh, well, people will just sign up for our thing. No, we won't. We don't want it. We just, and then on the weekend, it is on regular TV. So anyway, I got to eat, and then it's 3:00, so I got to probably by 4 go to swim, and then figure out what I'm going to do for dinner. I did make salmon yesterday. I can have that for dinner or tomorrow, and maybe make my omelet. And I got to go stop at the grocery store for my ginger, and I think I needed one other thing. What do I need? I don't know. I thought I needed 2 things. Anyway, I got eggs yesterday. So anyway, that's about it. So have a nice day. Again, the bets: Toronto over 8.5, Boston under 8, KC over 8.5, Texas and the Dodgers over 9. So 5 games and nothing big. Keep an eye on Arizona and the Dodgers. If they're fixed, they're big favorites. And those are the ones I'm noticing fixed. The Mets, I thought, was fixed the other day. There was one fixed. Cincinnati, I thought, was fixed. They didn't bat their guys, and then they pitched to the 2 guys on the other team. So, or the managers are just so stupid managing baseball now. Yeah, let's pitch to the 300 hitters, and we'll be careful with the 150 hitters. Like, the guy's hitting 150. I don't think he should be in the major leagues. Just my thought. And what the fuck are you not? Why would you pitch to a better hitter? Who cares? So walk him and then let the 140 hitter beat you. He beats you. He's going to get a hit every 10 times. We'll take our chances. All right. That's about it. So we talk football, basketball again. Take Boston tonight. Elimination game, and they get 2.5. I don't think the Knicks are better than Boston. Obviously, Jack Tatum's injury was meaningless as they blew him out, and I think they'll just do the same thing. So look for Boston to at least play it close, and you're getting 2.5. Gold, July 1st, Basel 3. Just gold's already going. that's when silver goes. So go buy some silver and hold it. And July 1st, we'll see it. All right, I think that's it. I will see you tomorrow, and have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com if you want to email me. Otherwise, little to eat, and then I'm off to the pool. All right, take care, everybody. I'm not sure, Prophet, if it's 90 out. I hope it is. I don't mind the warm weather, but we'll see. All right, take care, everybody.